to do with myself. Planning everything for two, doing everything with you. And now we're through. I just don't know what to do with myself. Dun, dun. I just don't know what
It's the metal version
with myself. No, it's the White Stripes version.
White Stripes version.
Yeah. Movies only make me sad. Parties make me feel as bad. 'Cause I'm not with you. I just don't know what to do with myself. And it goes dun dun, and it goes like a summer rose needs the sun and rain. I need your sweet love to beat love away.
The good news is you don't need to worry about Google.
No,
fucking
I'm going to
demonetizing.
put
some auto-tune
I'm going to
on that.
I'm deliberately fucking this up because I hate this song. Well, I don't know what to do with myself. Just don't know what to do with myself. I've got a fucking solution for this problem. I'll tell you in a minute. Planning everything for two, doing everything with you. And now that we're through, I just don't know what to do. And I'm not bothering with the rest of the bullshit. I need a summer rose. If you don't know what to do with yourself, I've got a solution for you. You get on the fucking Instagram and you look at the maid lady jiggle for a bit and you're happy. Yeah. She was jiggling this morning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's fucking right into it at the moment.
I think one of the I never really got into Twitch or anything like that, except there was one which I got introduced to where this guy, he puts on voices, like old ladies' voices, and calls up scammers in India and stuff.
Okay.
And it's just, the whole channel is him getting back at the scammers, and he has some kind of virtual machine on it. It's like a PC.
And he lets them hack it.
Yeah.
And he destroys it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's seriously amazing. And I think a lot of the time the scammers aren't allowed to hang up or something, or he'll be like this old lady going on about his day and all this sort of shit. It's
basically great. Pretending and allowing them to, like when they ring up and say, I'm such and such from Microsoft, you've got a virus, I need to install this application, and he lets them go ahead and do it, but he's spun up a VM basically in the cloud, and they get in there and they do it, and he goes, by the way, it's a fucking VM, and he crashes them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he still on Twitch?
Yeah. And the great thing is he has all these different characters now that he does. So, and then what he'll do is like he'll put up a poll saying, should I talk about my dog for 20 minutes, or should I, do this thing, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Keep him on the phone as long as possible.
Because there's a makeup of people on Twitch. One of them is the maid lady, but she's not the only one that does it. She's got nothing on basically, and she says, "I'm going to play Dance Dance Revolution." Have you seen this?
Yeah.
And she says, "I'll be on in 20 minutes, and we'll play Dance Dance Revolution, yay!" And I'll make waffles. And she gets up there and she's like jiggling and all.
You guys have the same laugh, by the way. That little giggle.
And she jiggles. Now he's like Muttley. He doesn't fucking laugh. He sounds like Muttley, right? And she jiggles, right? And then there's another guy on Twitch. He's actually really funny. He's an Australian guy, and he basically swears more than I do,
which is almost impossible.
Insane. And that's actually his tagline is that he's just ridiculous with his swearing. And he was playing Sekiro.
Oh fuck!
What is it?
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, it's a ninja game, and it is. He was
okay. You're gonna have to do some editing. He was playing this game, and he's like, "Oh fuck, this game's unreal, man. This game's fantastic.
That's a great game,
right?" And he's playing it, and he's walking around with his character, and he gets up to an enemy, and he goes, "Oh, what's this?" And every enemy is a right. He goes, "Oh fuck this." He goes, and then he goes, "I'm gonna come up and fuck this." Oh fuck. And then what happens is
it sounds like us back in the day.
He's fucking hilarious. This bloke. He's only a young guy, and he says he gets shitty with the game, and then he starts getting shitty with the audience because like people are like
giving him shit
on
for
the
dying
Twitch
all the time,
and he'll go, Well, if it's so fucking easy, why don't you fucking do it, right? And then he goes, I don't need your fucking bullshit. And if you say that joke more than once, you're not a fucking comedian. Like, he's just giving it to the fucking... And he goes, I'll fucking play this game on my own. I don't need you fucking pricks.
Yeah.
That's what he says. He just doesn't care about anybody.
He's a cracker.
He's a very, very funny Twitch streamer. And there's another guy on there. He's very similar, but he's an American guy. And he's very talented at playing the Dark Souls-y type games.
Really hard games that are just...
He's really good at it. And
so hard they're almost not fun.
And he's the opposite of a Twitch, what they call a Twitch thought.
Right.
Which is that hoe over there. That's what it stands for.
I see.
Right? And so what he dresses up in a shirt and tie, right? And he gets on there and he goes, fuck, like this. And like he's playing Sekiro as well.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck. Gee, fuck, but he does it in an American accent. And he's like, oh no, get away from the danger, fuck. Like this. That's all he ever says, but he's really good at playing the game. And so these guys are quite annoyed at these, they're usually 9 times out of 10 young women that are very attractive. And they get on Twitch, right? And they do ASMR. Have you heard of this stuff?
I have heard of this.
We started talking about this a long, long time ago, and I'll repeat it just for you because it's quite funny, in my opinion. There's one of them, and it's the maid lady, right? She's not called the maid lady, but just to protect her. And
it's just because she had a feather duster.
She had a feather duster sticking out of her ass, right?
Okay.
And she was dressed up as a French maid. And when Nervous Nathan was on here, he was saying, I'm not sure about her cleaning abilities because I don't think she's really cleaning very much because she can't dress herself because she's basically popping out of her dress. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, it's very hard to feather dust when it's sticking out. Crack.
That's right, it was sticking out of her ass. This fucking feather duster, right? And so she reportedly was making at one point $60,000 a month.
Jeez,
no bullshit, right? And she is a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
I'm being serious. And anyway, what happened was some of these YouTubers that I subscribed to went to war with these Twitch ladies. They call them thoughts. I don't like that. I think that's a bit demeaning, but that's what they call them.
What does that mean, thought?
That hoe over there.
Oh, right. Okay.
So basically they're saying you're dressing up as a hoe.
Right.
And you do nothing. Because if you remember, Twitch was originally a gaming streaming channel.
See, I never understood it though. I never really got it. And what's weird to me though is that there is this. I guess I'm not really a gamer or anything, but it's just weird for me to think that, hey, like everyone loves to watch other people play
video games.
Well, you know what it is for me? I find that people that can play games like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, or Dark Souls, or whatever it is, these are notoriously difficult games, and if they can play them really, really well and have got a really great talent for it, I actually enjoy watching that because that's something I can't do.
So you think you see that as a talented gamer?
I see that as a talent actually.
Right.
And I've always said that video games are an art form. They're just a very poorly communicated art form because people, unlike music, most people will agree that whether you like metal or you don't like metal or you like jazz or you don't, whatever it is, you'll agree that it's an art form.
Sure.
Right? And you're expressing yourself through that art form, right? But video games are lagging behind really badly on that, where they, for some reason, don't get communicated as an art form, even though they really are. Movies get communicated as art forms because people will say, well, that movie's an expression of, you know, you'll get people that'll debate what that movie's about and how that movie was shot and the sound for that movie, and it's an art form, right? And video games, in my opinion, are the same, right? Because you had a group of people that got together, they spent years and years and years developing a game, and that game has a certain art form to it, a certain look. It has a soundtrack, which is a certain unique soundtrack. It has a certain gameplay element, and it's all an art form, in my opinion. And so when you go on Twitch, you watch these people. It used to be this, but it's not so much now. But you used to watch people that would be very, very good at playing these games, and you'd go, holy fuck, I can't play it like this guy. This guy's unbelievable. Holy shit. I like it for that, and I also like it for if I don't know whether or not I'm going to buy that game, or am undecided or I'm sitting on the fence about buying that game, I'll go, you know what, I'll get on Twitch and I'll watch somebody playing that game, and then I've got an idea roughly what it's like.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So it's kind of like, even though it doesn't happen so much in the music industry now, it's kind of like getting on Spotify and listening to a new release, and you go, you know what, I really like that, I'm going to buy the CD.
Yeah.
But I'm an old fuck. I do that. Young people don't.
Yeah.
They consume nothing outside of Spotify, and it bugs me. And we went over that last time you were on, okay?
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that these Twitch people, or Twitch itself, was a community of people that were playing games and were showing their skills at it.
Yeah, now a bunch of people that are very business-minded have seen that as an opportunity to exploit.
They exploit it now.
And they exploit and make money from it.
I hear, I mean, again, I'm not so knowledgeable about this, but I hear that at least some of the bigger channels, they have, lots of people watching it at any one time.
Absolutely.
They got millions of subscribers.
So they get donations, right?
Yes,
That's how it works?
So what they call it, and it's even more crazy than that. Yes, they do get donations, a bit like a Patreon,
right?
But it's a live, real-time Patreon.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost, remember, you're probably too young, but back in the 80s, they had telethons. And it was like, fucking donate to the to the children.
Yeah.
Well, now you're donating to some chick in a bikini. It's crazy. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that they some of them absolutely rub your face in it. So this chick, I call her the maid lady. That's not her real name on Twitch. She has what's called the sugar daddy. So I don't know how you do it, but on the screen they've got rolling credits of people that have donated recently to her channel or their channel, and her top earner or top donator is called the sugar daddy, and that just says to me you're taking the piss. Right? So going back a step, Twitch was purely a game streaming channel that became now My Fisher Price's first porn channel.
Yeah,
and I was saying to Jason Relaxation, there is no way you'd let your young son watch that, because he's gonna see some shit that you don't want him to see. Right, because I'll give you another thing that they do.
No, I don't want him to see it before I do.
Well, I'll tell you something else. I'm no fucking prude, but I know where things shouldn't be promoted and things should be.
Sure.
Right. They've also got this thing they call just chatting. It's a category on Twitch, and they've got another thing called just chatting's the ASMR people, which is like the maid lady, and the other one is called art and beauty. You know what art and beauty is? Art and beauty is where they get their tops off and they do body painting.
But they body paint their tits.
They body paint their boobs, no bullshit. So they do it before they show their boobs. So they've partly painted their boobs, so they get out of it, and they paint their boobs on Twitch. They're wearing nothing but their little panties down below, but they're fully topless, painting their boobs. And what they're doing, look, I'm actually going to say some of them are fucking good at it. Like they'll paint Iron Man's body armor on their boobs, and it fucking looks the real deal. It looks the shit, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But that's not the place for it, in my opinion. And so Twitch has changed from being a game-centric streaming channel of showing somebody's ability to play a game or to do a walkthrough so you can see what the game's like, to this bullshit fucking My Fisher Price's first porn channel.
Right.
Now, what happened was some of these YouTubers and channel content creators we were talking about upstairs just before, they've gone to war with them. And so what they've said is, you're earning $60,000 a month, darling. That's fantastic. But if you declare that to the IRS, better known as the tax department, over in the US. And of course they've said, what are you talking about? They play fucking innocent. What are you talking about? We haven't donated shit to anyone. What the fuck? That's my money. And all these YouTubers are saying, no, that's fucking income.
It's income.
And you know what? The IRS got a fucking whiff of it, and now they're fucking going to town on these people and saying, well, listen, where's our piece of the pie? You know what I mean?
Which is why if you look at YouTube recently and some of the other platforms, they do calculate tax and stuff as part of it as well.
It's very new, right?
Yeah,
Never
so
used to be there.
They've added all that functionality.
It, right? Because you have to declare any income that you earn on these channels.
It's a no-brainer. It's a business.
But there was a big loophole, right? They were exploiting it. And so what happened was these YouTubers went to war against these Twitch thoughts. I don't like the word, but that's what they call them. And they were saying, "Where's have you declared that income?" No, I haven't. Now these people got very nasty. The maid lady got really nasty. I was telling Nervous Nath last week, or whenever we upload this bullshit, I said to him, "I won't get into it. I get upset." And then I start clipping the audio, and he fucking bitches more about it. So I'm going to try and maintain some decorum. That's a big fucking word.
That is a big word.
Decorum during this fucking episode. But I'm fucking biting my tongue, and I'm already starting to get animated just thinking about
Should I
it.
get the feather duster out?
You go, well, yes, you should. But what I'm saying is, this Twitch lady, she said, right, I want that channel closed. He said that about me, and now I'm being audited by the IRS.
Wow.
And I want his channel closed. And they wanted these guys' channels closed. And they were saying, he's saying, like, if you farted in the wrong direction, these people, they were saying, copy strike. I'm putting a strike on his channel. They just do a strike on their channels.
Right.
And all of us, and on YouTube, 3 strikes you're out type of thing, or you get suspended or some bullshit.
I don't know a lot about it, but
We wouldn't know because no fucker watches this shit on YouTube.
We may have already been struck. I wouldn't notice.
Well, you know what? You want to strike us, you fucking can. I don't give a shit. Fucking shut us down, but you can't stop me. You know why you can't stop me?
I'll change business names.
Yes, exactly. Right? Fuck yous all. I don't give a fuck. Fuck Spotify. Fuck iTunes. But you know what you don't fuck? Castbox.
Oh.
You don't know about that, do you little fuck? But
And if the IRS is listening, my name is John Smith.
Oh, you look,
Yes.
you fucking look like John Smith.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me this. So with the maid lady and
Yep.
the
I'll show
sugar
you.
daddy.
Yep, sugar daddy.
Please do.
I will show
so what?
you.
So would he? What's his reason to donate to that? Is it?
'Cause you know
does he
why?
request things? Or?
No, well, yeah, they do. So what they do is they've got like if I use their Patreon, because they also have Patreons,
Right.
they have a tier system. And it got with her, as an example, it was, I'll send you more risque pictures than I'm able to do on Twitch.
Okay.
And I'll show you nude pictures. And some of them were saying, I'll even talk to you.
Right.
So they play on guys like me that are lonely and miserable and got
Right.
their hands down their pants and they've got the fucking power glove and it's got all sticky and
So it's kind of like
and the fucking don't put the cat under the UV light.
Yeah.
All that shit.
So it's kind of like like the cam girls.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
Showgirls and
I'm glad you raised that because what happened was now the cam girls on Chatterbait are at war with the chicks on Twitch. Because what happened was, they've said, we wear more clothing than you fuckers do on Twitch. And we know we're on a porn site.
Yeah.
We know we're going to take our pants off and show everything. But we know it, right? And we're not ashamed of it. We're saying we're 100% in on
At
showing
least we
our
pay our
bits.
tax.
We pay our tax, right? And we know that we're asking for donations, so we show our bits to people on Twitch, men or women. It doesn't matter, right?
Sure.
That's what we do, right? And the more money you give us, and they've got their own system, the more risque shit we'll do. But they were doing that on Twitch, and so now the Chatterbait cam girls went to war with the Twitch ones as well, and they said, you know what, you guys are fucking absolute bullshitters and hypocrites because we're wearing more than you are, and you're on Twitch. And you don't even play a video game. And you know how they got around it? Oh, we do play video games. We play Dance Dance Revolution.
Well, I've got
Which no bullshit.
it looks like a dildo.
No joke, no bullshit. You know what they do? They put the controller in their bra and they just dance around.
I like my solution better.
Yeah, I like that one too. I like that very much.
wow.
Right?
I've got no idea about
Mate,
any of this
it's
stuff.
another fucking
This
world,
is
dude.
a whole other world.
Celebration of nerdom.
All of my
Celebration of
experience with gaming is pretty much with FIFA. And in my old house, like that's the only game that I would ever play. And we had some rules. So we had some housemate rules, and the rules were, I think it was you could only choose 5 randoms. Right? Do you guys play FIFA at all?
I used to play I was a big FIFA player, but guess what? I had an incident.
Oh.
Right, and what happened was it got very, very competitive. And here's a little bit of a mini ram for you folks, because what happened was we used to play FIFA every year. Every year it had come out, right? And this is around about FIFA 2001, 2002. It was on the fucking PS2, right?
Oh, PS2,
PS2, right? But I did play it a lot on the PS1. Well, anyway, we were having like competitions. So we get to someone's house and we draw up a roster of who was going to play who, right? So you're Group A, I play you, and then Group B plays Jason Relaxation with somebody else, and Group C, Group D, we got fucking competitive, and we got like chalkboard, like a fucking post-it note board of who's going to play who. Well, guess what? People that thought they would beat me, or people that would, I thought I would beat them, it got on a fucking slanging match, and people got animated. Right. And at one point, this one guy we used to play FIFA with, he got so pissed off, he stood up in the middle of my lounge room because I was hosting it. We used to host it at each other's house.
Yeah.
So I got to my house and I was hosting it. So the PlayStation 2 came out, FIFA came out, we're playing it, and this guy stood up and goes, and he used to speak like this. He goes, "That's bullshit, man." He goes, "Man, you're fucking cheating, man. You fucking done something to the controller, man."
Were you playing against Ozzy Osbourne?
No. He had a bit of a weird accent,
okay,
right? But he would stand up there. I won't say the name. He stood up there and he goes, "Man, this is fucking bullshit, man. You have fucking cheated because you've got the good controller and you have somehow switched the bad controller,
the old good controller trick."
And you know what? It got so bad that they fucking argued in my lounge room, and I walked out and went, "Anyone for dip? Chips?" You know, like it got fucking competitive.
Yeah.
But this same guy got ultra competitive playing Virtua Tennis.
Yeah, right.
Right. Virtua Tennis was the other one. This was on the Dreamcast, Jason Relaxation.
I remember it.
Right?
Yeah.
So we were playing Virtua Tennis, and again the competition boards came out. I would play such and such would play some other guy, whatever it was. And anyway, this guy sat back and went, "Now listen." And he referred to himself in the third person. This is the best bit,
God.
right? He goes, "Now listen, if I fucking play Dan plays fucking Michael plays fucking me. Shit, I can't win. Fuck." And he got fucking angry with it. He goes, "Now let's go through this again, man." He always used to say, "Let's go through this again, man. I play you. Nadu plays Nadu." Because he always referred to himself in the...
Nadu.
His name was Nadu.
Right.
I shouldn't say that.
Too bad.
I just said Naboo from the Mighty Boosh.
It was blue.
His name was Nadu.
Oh, okay.
Right? And he'd go, "Now, if Nadu plays fucking Dan, and Dan plays Nadu, and then Nadu plays Michael, shit, I can't win. Fuck."
Was he wearing a suit at this point?
Yes. No. Yeah. Well, the story with this guy, right? And he got the fucking shits. I'll tell you a little bit about this guy, right? Fuck it. I haven't seen him for years. Let's fucking let it go. I'll fucking tell you a cracking story about this guy.
Wow.
This is a fucking ram, actually. Strap yourself in. This is a fucking huge ram.
Mind you, we haven't heard his story yet.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
But mine was very brief. Mine we settled that very, very easily. And so the rules were just very simple. It was 5 randoms. You can't go backwards. Whatever. Someone's doing some construction next door.
Yeah, tree frogs.
It's a tree frogs.
Yeah. It was very simple. If it was a 3-goal difference, the loser had to do a public apology to the winner on Facebook. And if it was a 5-goal difference, the loser had to make dinner for the whole house.
Damn.
And that was it. Nice and easy.
That's
No,
nice.
we had fucking hijinks, mate. It got in my place with FIFA, controllers were thrown, tantrums were fucking thrown. But years before that, Virtua Tennis is when it all started. So this guy, let me tell you about this guy. He always wanted to one-up everybody. He always had to have the best clothing. He always had to have the better car. He always had to... But he had a heart of gold too. That's why we forgave him for his bullshit. But I used to tell people about him, and they go, "No, you're making it up. He's a comic book character." And I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, he's the truth." And Pedro finally met him many years later, and he's like, "Dude, you've only told me half of his bullshit." And I'm like, "Yeah, mate, I can't wrap it up in a concise conversation. This guy's unbelievable." But he had the heart of gold, you know what I mean? Everyone liked him, and he really did help his friends out when you needed help, you know? He was always there for you, but he was a character. And his story is, from Virtua Tennis being fucking adamant that he had to win and beat everybody and realising that I fucking beat him, he hated it, right? His origin stories is a classic because he went to high school with some mutual friends of mine. And so when I met him at uni, these mutual friends that I had said, "No, we knew him before you. We met him at high school. We knew him at high school." And don't listen to his bullshit about having a fucking BMW and all that sort of shit. He was driving around in a Corolla. And not only that, his first job, you know what his first job was? he dressed as a koala with one of those fucking tin cups.
Oh, okay.
You know those tin cups for the fucking charity?
Yeah.
So he went from that to wearing a suit, right? And hanging around the most stylish guy I knew at uni, right? And he wanted the best hair products in the world, right?
Wow.
So he used to have this immaculate hair, and he used to use Taft in his hair. And he had an argument one day with this guy that he didn't get the right firm factor hold of Taft. So he says to me, I overheard the conversation. He goes, "Man, I told you, man." This is how he used to talk. He goes, "I fucking told you, man." He goes, "I wanted a firm factor hold 2, and this is not firm hold factor 2. In fact, it's not even Taft, and I can tell it doesn't smell sweet because Taft smells sweet." And he had a fucking argument with this bloke and wouldn't talk to him for weeks because he got the wrong fucking hair care products for him. It was unbelievable. But he always had to upsize you. If you had a fucking brand new car, his car was better. Right? It didn't matter. And so when it came to playing games like Virtua Tennis, he had to win. He had to beat everybody. Right? And you forgave him because you knew that was just him. That was just the way he rolled. Right? And he had the heart of gold, but at the time you're like, you're a fucking dick. But he had a fucking argument in my house with the controllers, the PS2 controllers. He's like, "Man, you fucking gave me the shit controller, you fucking prick."
He didn't put that in his boobs, did he?
What's that?
He said he didn't put that in his boobs, did he?
No, he didn't. No,
Oh,
no, he wasn't a Twitch slot as far as I can remember.
That's a shame.
No, but the Twitch slots, I'll show you the maid lady when we're finished.
Yeah,
This
please
bullshit.
do. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by this.
You
Just
will be.
for scientific research.
Scientific research.
Mate, you fucking will be.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah, right.
But she's a piece of work because when she found out people were going at her from the IRS, she fucking attacked these blokes and she wanted all their channels shut down. She showed her true colours, you know.
Wow.
But guys are donating. I've watched her. I'll be honest, I have watched her with my hands down my pants, and I have watched her, right? And she's got guys that have donated $300 in one hit,
Yeah, right.
in one evening.
Right.
But that's not including all the other fucking losers that are donating to her. So she's making thousands upon
So how many
thousands
views
of dollars.
how many people would be watching her channel and stuff?
I couldn't tell you because I don't know how it works with Twitch. Because she's, as far as I'm aware, she does Twitch mainly, but she also does ASMR on YouTube.
Right.
But she does ASMR on Twitch as well.
Could you envision this maybe bands taking use of this types of technology? I don't know, like how could you envision, like, would there be bands doing that type of stuff?
Do you know what? I reckon it'd be a cool concept of a band in a recording studio streaming out what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem with that I can see is that, like, especially as an artist, like, might not want to release the final, like, it's, people have you don't want to have people have too much perceptions about something before you know it's, like, actually perfect.
Absolutely.
But still, that would be a cool idea. I mean, I always find it really, you know, the last time I was here, coincidentally, I'm also brought the same shirt this time.
I don't know how you did that.
I love this.
And we haven't even,
all are.
We haven't even introduced this bullshit podcast.
I know, we're like 25, 30
Well,
minutes
let's cut all that fucking shit out. We don't need it all.
Yeah, we do. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, you figure it out. Well, let's introduce it anyway. Fuck
Yeah.
it. This is Invert the Y, episode 12.1, Stardate log 12.1.3.5.
Same as last episode.
That's fucking, I don't know, we're trapped in this time warp. It's fucking, the USS fucking Invert the Y got it sucked into a fucking time warp and we can't get out of it. It's like a space-time fucking continual bullshit thing.
Interdimensional aliens.
Interdimensional aliens have trapped us and we're stuck in a repeated loop of bullshit.
Full of gay frogs.
Full of gay frogs. Fucking bullshit.
Oh, wow.
And so we're orbiting another class M planet of retrodom and bullshit, and we've got him back. I don't know how we got him back because he wasn't impressed with the last one he did, but that's because he's slightly demanding. But we got him with waffles. We got him with waffles. We got Nuka Neel back.
Yeah, good to be back, boys.
Joined as always by Jason Relaxation, only because he's doing the audio. He doesn't do much else with the fucking thing. But that's just it. And I'm Retro Dan. That was a long rant about fucking Twitch.
Yeah. Well, look, I found it quite interesting. I mean,
if you don't know what's going on in the world of Twitch, it is actually interesting.
Yeah,
because
a
lot of people are really upset because they're saying very clearly in black and white there are codes of conduct, right? And you have to present in a certain way on Twitch, otherwise you get the ass. But you know what?
They're right on the fucking grey area.
Well, they're actually. There's a line in the sand and they fucking walked past it and pissed on it, a lot of them. But not only that, a few the real big thing that's going on at the moment is the double standards. I'm a male, and if I did the same thing, I'd be fucking gone. And you want to know something? There was a guy on YouTube that's obviously a male, and he said, you know what, I'm going to do a fucking little experiment.
See what happens.
I'm going
to
to get on Twitch, right? I'm going to do one thing on Twitch and see how long I last.
Please tell me he was doing body painting.
No, you know what he did? No, you know what he did? He wore a singlet.
Yeah.
And he got fucking banned for Twitch for forever. That's
For a
it.
singlet.
Yep.
What?
Because Twitch, the owners, said you've breached the what do you call it? The terms of service or whatever, the code of conduct, whatever they call it. You're supposed to be wearing presentable clothing. You're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be doing that. And then they got him because he got back onto his YouTube channel and said, there you go. There's your fucking double standards. But you know what I was going to do? I was going to take my top off and sit there with my top off and see what was going to happen. And I didn't even get that fucking far. And they've given me a lifetime ban on Twitch. And he goes, and I'm glad they fucking did because they've just proven that their double standards are absolutely out of control.
But the reason is people like the maid lady make them a lot of money. So
that's what he said. He goes, the maid lady are absolutely rolling in the money for them because I don't know how it works, but Twitch takes a percentage of whatever they make, right? And so these guys, these people are cash cows, for the Twitch organisation. You know what I mean? And so they're absolutely people have got the shits with Twitch. In terms of that, right? And unfortunately, it was always founded on game streaming. That was Twitch's bread and butter. It was in the old days. Right. And now it's not so much.
How long has it been around for?
It's actually not that long.
Not as long as you think. No, I'd say, late. It went into a different name. It was under a different guise in the late 2000s. And then it became Twitch TV and now Twitch.
It's less than 10 years.
It's less than 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I've really only heard of it recently, last year or so. I was never into that. I never really knew much about it.
No.
But it's crazy to think that this whole thing's been kind of blowing up and you know...
You know you're getting old, Neil, when you don't know what
the
latest social medias are.
You know what? People forget, and I forget too, that YouTube hasn't been around as long as we think it has. Like, I'd say 2005 or 6
I remember
is when it
actually
really kicked in. And even then... The nature of YouTube is very different to what it is today.
It was so like the idea of I guess I remember when vlogging and stuff first came out, and I was like, no one is ever going to be into this.
And you know what?
It was just I would watch YouTube videos for just like weird shit, like just it was really like just quick clips or something like that.
You know what?
Then it's gone nuts now.
And you know what? The YouTube channels or the YouTube videos that used to be on in those mid-2000s, you know what they were? They were like cats stuck up a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes,
they were like remember Funniest Home Videos? It was that bullshit.
Exactly.
That was what YouTube was.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I looked at YouTube in the mid-2000s and went, what the fuck's this bullshit? Like I do with social media now.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it. And now I don't go without a day without watching at least something on YouTube because there's a lot of content that I want to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's actually, for me, surpassed what I want to watch on TV.
Yeah.
But there were people probably in the late 2000s, like 2008 or 9, that were doing game-centric content. So they were coming out and saying, I've been playing games since the 70s, and this is my channel, and this is what I want to talk about today. And I would say after that, podcasting became a thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're fucking idiots. We're late to the party, as we always are. And we're just as fucking popular.
Mind you, I have been hounding you about it for the last 5 years
Doing what?
or so. Doing a fucking podcast.
What I found annoying though,
I
found annoying about YouTube was it gave birth to those videos with those like really quick, like harsh edits.
Yeah.
It was like, hey.
I hate that. You know who does that a lot? And he's very good though. He's very fucking good. But he does it a lot. Philip DeFranco. He fucking annoys me. He's an awesome YouTuber. He does awesome content. But he fucking does that skip, that harsh... cut.
I find it hard to get into.
Yeah, I can't do that. It doesn't, to me, it's not natural.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be the first to admit, I'll say something and I'll walk out this door and go, fuck, that's not what I meant to say. Oh, fuck, I didn't get that fact or figure right. Or maybe I shouldn't have said that at all. But that's what I want to do. That's the nature of a conversation. And that's why I've always preferred podcasting. And I don't like those, like you're saying, those artificially produced channels because they're like, well, you've clearly said something or done something you didn't like and you've cut it out and now it doesn't look real. I'd be better off watching the fucking news at 6, you know what I mean, on one of those bullshit free-to-air channels. But YouTube's changed a lot.
Of course.
A lot. I mean, a ridiculous amount of how much it's changed. And I think Twitch has changed a lot too. It's gone from a very... well, I don't even really remember the origins of Twitch like a lot of the Twitch streamers do. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you it's very different from what I remember it as, which was a game streaming a primary service in terms of watching someone stream or play a game. People will say that before that it was even different before that. I don't remember the really, really early days of Twitch, but now it's morphed into something completely different. Now it's morphed into, like there's a channel called Twitch Always On, which is Twitch playing episodes of Dragon Ball or something.
Right.
Or Power Rangers. They've actually got a dedicated TV channel on the fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's even more different from when I started watching it. But I've noticed myself in the last two years or so, all of a sudden, what the fuck's this ASMR shit?
I think they're just struggling to figure out what they are and where they can make money.
Well, they're making money.
Well, they're making money on that shit, but it's in complete violation of their own terms.
Well, that's it. That's what these YouTubers are saying, and I really feel sorry for these content creators, and it's not just women. There are some awesome streamers on that channel that are female. They're fucking awesome, right? And I love watching them because their content's excellent, right? So it doesn't matter what gender they are. But what I'm saying is, even they're saying, well, you've got this very clearly documented terms of or code of conduct or terms of service, whatever it is. But every 5 minutes I turn around and this person's breaching it. You don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know why you don't give a fuck?
Because you make money.
Because they're making $1 million for you every year. You know, like that's bullshit.
But to be honest, I mean, this is nothing that new. Like since fucking the beginning of time, like this whole idea of sex sells, you know, going into every industry.
Well, music industry is a classic.
Like movies.
Yeah, classic.
Like any kind of pop culture, like, you know, from the 60s, 50s onwards.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, I hate to say this, but like, you shouldn't even really be that surprised that it's.
I'm
like,
not. I'm not surprised at it at all, and it's even. I'm not surprised because the internet's really unregulated.
Yeah.
Right. So on the internet,
and there's a lot of fucking like sick people out there as well.
The internet is. All bets are off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it really must scare, and it does scare, the main media because they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They can't control it because they don't own it, right? And they are even worse than we are. They're way behind. They haven't got any presence on the internet at all. And if they do, everyone's ignoring it, particularly younger people. So the way that people consume content on in terms of news is over, right? People will consume news in a really different way from how we consumed it, which is turning on the TV at night and watching the news. No one fucking does that.
Have you noticed there's a lot of newspapers now that are trying to, like, you look through 9MSN or whatever it is, you go into an article and it sort of puts you behind a paywall.
Yeah.
The second that happens, I go, fuck off.
You know what's actually funny story about that? On Reddit, a while back, I just kind of near where I lived, I noticed this like anti-Asian immigration sign. It was just popped up. I saw it kind of propped up on a wall, and it was funny because it was like the title is like "We Speak English Here," and it was riddled with spelling errors and grammar errors. I thought it was hilarious, right? So I took a photo of it and put it up on Reddit. Now, what happened was the Daily Mail saw it, and they actually put it on their website.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I think it was the journalist from there had messaged me on Reddit saying, hey, can we find out some more information about this? Can we use this or whatever? Because of I didn't check the notifications. I didn't look until like a day later. And then I was like, oh, okay. I saw that they'd replied. And then I just checked their website and I noticed that they'd actually posted it up, firstly, without my permission. And they wrote this whole narrative about, like, that was not true. Because I didn't write anything. I just wrote spotted near the shopping center. Right, they wrote this whole narrative about, oh, this user found it, multiple copies in the car park, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, what? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
you just took a photo of mine and put it up. I mean, obviously the Daily Mail's not, like, super reputable, but
it's true.
I just found that, like, shocking. Like, I didn't expect that to kind of happen.
That came to the mainstream, because if it's what I think you're talking about, that decided the election.
Was it?
Yep. Because what you're talking about, that broke in I'm not going to say where you live, but I know roughly where.
Yeah.
That was a big talking point in the state election.
Yeah,
where
right.
people were saying this fucking idiot who was the leader of a particular political party came out and said some silly shit, and then then there was also certain paraphernalia posted around the neighbourhoods,
Right.
and people got wind of it, and some bloke got credit for the opposing team,
Yeah.
for breaking the story, right?
Yeah, right.
But he was there at the right place at the right time when he
Yeah.
actually heard that person from that political party say that. So he broke it as well and said, "Oh well, look, this idiot's just said that shit, and he's done something on Reddit, and it went like wildfire." And then the opposing team
Yeah.
got hold of it and went, "Can we use it? Can we use it, pretty please? Because that's fucking gold."
Yeah.
And that cost them big time, right?
Wow.
And so what you're saying,
Look at
is
that, mate.
the
You've
very
just
same thing.
turned the election.
I'm an influencer.
You are in a way.
what's so
Well, I'm
weird.
not saying that was the story.
Yeah.
But that, because I tell you how I know that, because I'm a nerd, and the night of the election, I was watching the coverage on the paid TV channel,
Yeah.
and they were saying. They were giving credit, because you know how they all fucking pat themselves on the back. It's like,
course, yeah.
fuck, it's like winning the grand final. You know what I mean? I love
Yeah.
it. Whenever there's an election and a political party wins it, it's like Christmas, and they're all fucking got the Cheshire Cat grin on their faces, and it's like they've won the grand final. You know what I mean?
Now I get
Yeah,
a pension.
Yeah, they won the, we couldn't have done it without the coach, and fucking God bless him. He was a fucking hard prick today. He tackled like a fucking maniac. That's how That's how they act, you know what I mean? And what happened was, one of them said, "Oh, we have to give credit to such and such who broke this story on Reddit." I'm not bullshitting you now.
Wow.
Because what happened was, the leader of that party, I'm not mentioning the names, he said what he said, which went viral, but it also got caught on the mainstream TV. But the mainstream TV didn't fucking know about it. Because what happened was, this person from the winning political party said, "Guess what? We fucking knew about it because a person was standing right near there where this Muppet said what he said."
Yeah.
And then they were very savvy, this person, obviously a younger person, got on the Reddit and posted it, and then it went like fucking wildfire.
Yeah.
And guess what? The headquarters of that party found out about it and said, "Oh, can we use this material for our own political machine?" And that person gave them the permission, because that person was pissed off of what this Muppet had said, and it fucking spread like wildfire. That's the fucking power of the internet, man.
Yeah,
right
it
there.
is pretty crazy.
If only we could think of something viral.
Oh, we're fucking useless. The only viral I've got is one that makes me scratch in the fucking nut regions.
That's because you don't clean your power glove well enough, mate.
Yeah, the power glove moves it clean.
But call the maid, she might be able to come and help you clean it up a little bit.
Should be good at polishing knobs.
I don't think she's cleaned a fucking thing in her life. I'm telling you.
She pays.
You wait till you see the pictures, she won't clean anything. But what I'm saying is, you see the power of the internet, and the mainstream TV didn't know shit about it, right?
Yeah.
They knew about the big story, which was he did say that, but they didn't know any of this other bullshit, and no one would have known until this lady had said on the night of the election when they'd all won, and she sort of under the rug sort of said, "Oh, by the way, how we got that story really in the nitty gritty was somebody had posted it on Reddit." Can you fucking believe it?
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's amazing. That's not the topic of the show anyway. I don't want to talk about politics. It's fucking boring.
Yeah.
Topic of the show, traveling.
Travels.
We've all done a lot.
We've all done a lot.
We've been to some interesting places.
Just for the history lesson, I want to ask Nuka Neel where he's been. History lesson for me is I've been all over Europe. I backpacked for 4 months all over Europe. I started off in London, and I went all the way through through Europe as far as Prague, all that shit. I've been to the US.
Sorry, anyone in
All
Europe
that
who's
shit.
just been referred to as all that shit.
And the fucking US, all
Yeah.
that shit. Japan many times, because this fucking idiot lived in Japan for a very long time.
I had the privilege of sending this fuck to Japan
He
at
did
one point.
send me there, yeah.
Yeah.
And set me up with some very interesting people.
I'm sure he
I was,
fucking did.
yeah. Just,
He had one that I wanted him to set me up with.
There's a few of those.
She was hot. But that's another fucking story.
Japan was cool though. I remember that was my first time there, and I was like, just the social side of things is just so different to what I'm used to in terms of how people interact with each other.
I'll tell you
there.
about Japan, in my experience. The first time I went there, I didn't like it at all. Because I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. Even though Jason Relaxation had told me many times about the differences of it, I got off there at Narita Airport, and it just blew my mind.
Sure
But not in a way that I could cope with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like nothing makes sense. The only thing that made sense that I really liked was watching the TV shows at night. Because no joke, I saw a guy strapped to a car with chains and a cannonball was over his head, and this woman had to run in the time that she had to the fucking chain on with this guy tied to a car.
Yeah.
And she had the keys to the padlock. And if she didn't get there in time, this guy was fucking dead.
Japan scares me. It's like there's this like repressed side of society.
Yeah.
Like everyone's repressed.
Yep.
Yet they have the craziest shit going on. They have the craziest like countercultures. They have the craziest game shows.
Yep.
Like I saw one. This was like I saw it on like YouTube, or someone sent me a clip of it where it was like two guys, and there was like a box like basically where their dick was, and there was like a chick like giving them a blowjob or jerking them off, and it was like they had to recite something while they were getting jerked off. And I was like,
weird, man.
what the fuck
It's
is
weird.
this
I think
shit?
they were news anchors, weren't they?
Maybe. I think it was.
You know what was weird about Japan?
Yeah.
I could never work out. You know when you're on the trains,
Yeah.
and they're reading a book. It's a manga, but
Yeah.
but it's always brown paper on the outside.
Yeah.
I couldn't work it out, so I asked Jason one time, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, they don't want people to know what they're reading." And I said, "Well, that doesn't make fucking sense because." If they're embarrassed by that, why is it that in their department stores, no bullshit, one section will be kids' toys and literally between me and you, that distance, will be sex toys.
Don
right.
Quixote is the
Right.
greatest shop ever.
You can fucking buy anything in that
In the
joint.
same aisle, you can buy a necktie and you
Yep.
can buy a fucking dildo right
Yep.
next to it.
That, mate, it's insane, that joint. But you know what I loved about... But the second time I went to Japan, I fucking fell in love with it. All right? And you know how I fell in love with it? I always judge a fucking country by its toilets. And Japan's got the best toilets in the world.
They do have. I
Mate, it's
enjoyed
like,
it.
It's like sitting on Captain Kirk's fucking chair on the on the Enterprise, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Take the helm.
But here's a fucking little story for you, and I will get to a rant, folks. Yes, I know there are people demanding it, all two of you fucks. But you know what? I sat on this fucking toilet, and I always went in the winter time. There was only one time in the 5 times I went to Japan in the summer. But every time I'd been in the winter, right?
It was cold as
And it was
fuck.
cold as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I went to this toilet, and it was downtown Tokyo at a McDonald's. So it wasn't anything to write home about. Sat on this toilet, and they had like a fucking knob for heating the fucking toilet.
Amazing.
And I'm like, what the fuck? But here's the best bit. You can know, you won't believe this is unbelievable. In my fucking head, couldn't work it out. But there were all these buttons on the fucking side of the seat. And I'm like, don't fucking say it. Don't fucking say it.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I can guess.
Yeah, you fucking know. He will know because he laughed at me and he'll laugh at me again. Because there's all these there's all these buttons on the side of the seat and they look like bums, right? And there's a pink bum and there's a blue bum. So I couldn't work it out. So I pressed the pink bum and guess what? Water would shoot up and hit me in the testicles. Right?
Wow.
And then I pressed the blue bum, and then the water would shoot up and sprinkle my ass.
Nice.
You know what? And I couldn't work it out, and I'm thinking, what the fuck's this? So one day I go home and I ask him, I go, well, how come when I press this button, my balls get wet? He goes, you're a fucking idiot. That's for women. That's so they can wash their pussies out when they have a piss.
Yeah, right.
Right? And I go, all right, well, fine. And then, you know what? I'll fucking be honest, I kept pressing that pink button. You know what? I fucking like the feeling of that washing my balls. And I'll tell you something else, and I will fucking admit it to you right now, and I'll fucking tell you that I enjoyed having my ass wiped out with that fucking water as well.
I have a name for it. It's called the Poseidon's Kiss.
Besides, a good one. What's it called? A bidet. A bidet.
a bidet.
Bidet. Well, I fucking like it.
You can buy them here, you know.
I did a really.
got kissed by
Well, I'll
Poseidon.
tell you a story. I told the Shower King. I told the Shower King about that, and the Shower King goes, "You can get. I can put one in for you if you want." He says, "But they're very, very expensive here.
About $1,000.
He said for about with labour and all the plumbing and all the rest, about $2,000. He said, but I can put.
He's taking the piss for 2K.
He's the fucking Shower King. He can do whatever he
He's
wants.
fucking taking the piss.
Doesn't
for 2K.
matter. But he said they're
you can
very
get a
expensive.
bathroom for 2K.
They're a lot of money, but you can have it if you want.
Yeah.
And I
To be
almost did
fair,
it.
I was a bit of a convert of the bidet when
fucking
I went to
good,
Japan.
man. They're
I
good.
think it was the same kind of thing. Like I rocked up. Like I didn't even know I was staying in this like shoebox hotel.
Yep.
I see all these buttons. Like it's all in Japanese. I was like, fuck it, let's just click some shit, see what happens. and just my eyes was like, okay. It got me like, what? The first time it got me was on the fucking bullseye target. And I was like, wow, this has just changed my life.
Yep. It changed my life too. You know what though? I'm being honest with you, because sometimes you eat something that doesn't agree with you, so there's a lot of mess there.
Well, look, it makes
if you hit
sense,
the button, it fucking gets rid of it, and then you don't have much to wipe.
Like, look, it makes sense, right? Look, if you're, you wash your hands afterwards, right? If you get shit on your face, like, if you get something on your face, you might wash it off with a wet wipe. Like, you're not going to just, like, rub it in with your hands.
Yeah.
And
but
just,
you know
like,
what? I took the piss, Nuka Neel. I took the piss, you know
Quite
why?
literally?
No, I did both. I'd have so much water, my balls would be dripping because I'd have to wipe them because I'd press them. But you know what else I do? No bullshit, and I will admit it because I don't give a fuck anymore. And I'll say what I want to say, and I don't care if I'm clipping in the audio and all that bullshit. But you know what? I'll tell you now. I'd hit the button, and I'd be like Mr. Whippy. I'd fucking wiggle my ass like that to get all the crevices in my ass when the bidet went up there. I don't mind it. And you know what? There was some really fancy toilets in Japan. You could actually control the temperature of the water.
Yeah, you can.
So you could have warm water go up your ass. Fucking awesome.
I'll tell you what, very different toilet experience in India, if any of you have been there.
I've not been there. But you know what? I'll be honest with you, Nuka Neel. I'm tempted to go there. But I know if I go there, I'm going to go, fuck, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Part of me says I want to go there. And another part of me says...
What are you scared of? What are you most afraid of?
I don't...
This is a guy that cannot eat spice.
Yeah, I'm fucked for a start.
Right. Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I love it, but my elderly years, I can't digest it, man, and I shit everywhere. But the problem I've got is because I'm going to get to a segue here, right? I've got to a point in my life where I don't want to see bullshit, and I know I'm going to see it in India. I'm going to see something that upsets me there, because I remember when Pedro was sent there for work. Right, he had a very high level job. He still does it. You know, he's a very fucking high working power person, but he's too busy building a fucking stadium to come on this show. Because every time I talk to him, that suppressive personality, he says 2020. He won't come on it.
SP.
He's a fucking SP. And I haven't even got to the topic of fucking Scientology yet. But when I do and explain what suppressive personality is, everyone's going to go, yeah, you know what, Pedro, you fucking are.
Get on with the story.
Yeah. I can't remember.
No, being upset. You were
India.
No, he
being
went
upset
to India for work, right? And I guess like everyone does when they're sent there, they get put up in a nice hotel. But unfortunately, to get from the airport to that nice hotel, you see some shit. Yeah. And he was telling me he was seeing little kids living in a stormwater drain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. You know, I know it's there. I don't want to see it. And that's my point. And I'm like, but part of me wants to go because I reckon there will be some shit in India that would blow my mind. But it's like, we might as well get to this now. Like Egypt, places I want to go to, but I don't know if I've got the gumption to get there. I want to go to Egypt. But Egypt scares the fucking shit out of me now with all the bullshit. But part of me says, fuck it, who cares? If I get bombed, I'm going to go anyway. Fuck it, I might as well get bombed.
I'm pretty sure your doctor would be fairly upset with that.
I should be fucking wrapped. That's fantastic.
Where are you going, Daniel?
See, I appreciate that, but I think out of a lot of the places that I've traveled to, it's the places like that where it is, you feel like it's real, you know what I mean? There's nothing put on by people. Like, it's confronting for sure, right? To see that, but it's like, firstly, it's happening in the world right now, whether you like it or not. You know,
well, ignorance is bliss in my book.
I get it,
but I know you're right.
I get it.
There are two groups of people. Pedro's one of them. Well, he used to be, not so much now, but as a younger guy, he was all about, you know what? I'm happy to be confronted with it. Whereas I was always the opinion of, ignorance is bliss, dude. I know it's there. I know it's in fucking Sydney, right? But I don't want to see it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's just me. Everybody's different.
Yeah. And that, just to clarify, that's probably because you're dealing with other shit that it's like, I've got enough on my plate.
No. Even before that bullshit, I was always like, I don't want to see it. You know, ignorance is bliss. I know the world's not full of fairy bread and fucking waffles that we always seem to have, but what I'm saying is I don't want to see it. But I've always had the belief that if I went to India, I'd be very happy to go there, but as long as it was just like a artificial experience, which is you get on the bus, they take you to a place, snap, snap, get on the bus, take you to a place, snap, snap, get on the bus, and that would be Egypt. Unfortunately, I think that's all you can do in Egypt.
But what if? So I'm going to ask you a difficult.
Ask me the question,
I'm going to ask you a difficult
Yep.
question here about
Yep.
that. But what if you went to India, right, and maybe you met someone,
hot chick?
a hot chick,
I'm in.
or someone in a very unfortunate situation that you feel confronted by, right? Like you mentioned, some kids. Possibly living in a, in a drain or something like that. You have the power there. You have the ability to, make a huge impact on someone. Like, not saying that you have to give people money, but maybe you did something. You gave them something,
Yep.
right? That could change their life, right?
Yep.
That could be like $50, or you could have helped them. I don't know. You could have done something like that, and that could have drastically impacted someone's
Okay,
life.
I'll give you an answer to that, but in a roundabout way. Which is what I'm famous for. Very good friend of mine. He spent about 6 weeks in the Dominican Republic, and he was building houses for, I guess, impoverished people. I can't remember if it was after a particular incident that they had there, but he was helping rebuild houses, right?
Right.
And he was helping teach kids because he's a teacher as well. So he was interacting with children, and he was making a big difference, right? In a roundabout way, I'd be happy to do that now. Right, because my situation in life is very different from what it was a couple of years ago, so I'd be quite happy to do it. All right. So in a roundabout way, to answer your question, I would do that now because I feel like I need to give back to people that have kind of done a lot for me, or I need to give back to people in general, right? Because I've had a pretty good life. I've had it pretty good,
Sure.
right? So I feel that yes, that would be definitely the way to go, but I also would definitely take the option of going to a place like India or Egypt, but more so India, if a local took me. Right. And I'll tell you why, because when I went to Italy, I had two experiences where locals looked after me and showed me around the place. And that was a way different experience from anything I've ever had. Right. So when I was in Italy, a friend of ours who I was traveling with, he knew some girls, or a girl that was willing to put us up in her house in Milan, right? And so, no, sorry, not Milan, Florence, I should say. It was Florence. And so we went there, and she was like basically opening her house and gave us the key and said, you guys can do whatever you want through the day, but when I come home from work, we'll go out. And it was fucking amazing, you know what I mean? And then when I stayed with my dad's aunties, or my great uncle and auntie in Sicily, they were basically looking after us as well. And that was, another amazing experience, you know. Actually, the chick in this is a cracking story. The chick that stayed in, that we stayed with in Florence, it was actually just outside of Florence. It was called Sesto. And so we stayed with her. And as we were going out at night, she'd drive us to different places. She took us to a nightclub, which was at the base of an old Greek ruin. Oh, it was fucking amazing. And they'd done this place up with lights and stuff like that. And so anyway, she was driving through red lights the whole way in her fucking Fiat Punto. And I thought at any minute I'm going to be dead, right? And I said to her one day, I go, hey, Eliza, don't you want to stop off at fucking the red lights or something? She goes, oh, no, Daniele. I know Sesto very well. I'm like, oh, fuck, how well do you know it, you know? But that was an amazing experience. You won't ever get that, no matter where.
You got to think about going to China as well.
Well, China was another one I had
so,
the local experience.
yeah.
But that was a fucking cracker because that's when the house burnt down.
True story, but that's
a fucking true story.
But it didn't burn down completely. But yeah, just going back to Neel's point,
there was a
there was some fairly confrontational things that we saw in China as well, right?
Yep.
But the fact that we did have that local presence, that local person in my wife actually guiding us and sort of telling us, how to behave and what not to say, what not to do.
Yeah, China was I mean the real China. And I've been to China.
I'd go anywhere if I had a local. Yeah. I'd go anywhere.
If I had a local, to answer your question, yes. If I had a local, right?
Right.
Because it makes it a very different experience,
course,
and the locals sort of soften the blow a little bit.
No, let's be honest. I don't want to go on tours. I'm not interested in that. I want to experience the place.
To be honest, I feel like those tours and like excessive tourism, it just fucks places right up. Like,
but it's very artificial as well.
Artificial. It's about money, and then it just becomes this fake thing.
But you know what?
One of my favorite ever experiences that I ever did was when I was a kid. I remember, I don't know if I told you on the last episode how I ended up learning German,
which was 4 weeks ago, because this fuck loaded it up anyway. Who knows when he loaded it up.
And so part of that was I actually went to go live in Germany on exchange. Now, our sister school at the time wasn't in any major city. It was in a village like an hour away from a place called Magdeburg, which was in eastern Germany, basically where the communists used to occupy. So, I went there. I was like 16, which is awesome because you can drink when you're 16 in Germany, right? You can drink. Man. Yeah, they do not
give a fuck.
Well, I went to...
Dude, they sell fucking, like, on every street, there's cigarette vending machines, like $3 or something like that. And anyway, where we were staying was this village where, like I was saying, the Russians used to occupy. Legitimately, I know for quite a lot of people there, when they saw me, I was the first ever non-white person that a lot of them had ever seen, right?
Wow.
And I remember very, very particularly, this is one party I went to, like a Christmas party, and everyone's like kind of drinking and singing some songs, German Christmas songs and shit. And there was these 2 kids, like kind of almost like the twins from The Shining a little bit, but they were kind of very nice and German, blonde and blue-eyed, standing in the corner, and they were just staring at me the whole night. And I didn't really care, they're kids, whatever, just, they're curious. I'm a brown guy in fucking Eastern Germany somewhere, like whatever. And the mother comes up to me after a while, and she's like, "Look, I don't mean to be offensive or anything here, but it's not going where you think it's going." But she goes, my kids, they're really curious about you, and they just want to like touch your skin and like touch your hands. They're really, really curious.
We had that
about
in
it.
I
Yeah.
We had that.
It's unbelievable. And I forget that, a lot of the world is like this.
Yeah.
I in a way I actually like to be confronted with stuff like that. And it was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll ever remember it, but for me that's something that's an experience that I took with me, and it just made me realize like how lucky I am in life, or like I've got to live a very fortunate life. I've met a lot of diverse people. I've had all these super rich experiences in life, and when I'm not saying that was a shitty situation, like meeting kids living in a drain or anything, but just that one thing had a big impact on me that I could take away, and I still think about it 14 years later.
We had that experience, or I had that experience in China when I visited Jason's wife's family, and they'd never seen a Caucasian. Some parts of that village had not seen a Caucasian before. And I'll never forget that they were saying they kept staring into my eyes, and it wasn't a weird thing. It was just like we thought everybody that was Caucasian had blue eyes. I'm like, no, and they couldn't believe how fair my skin was. They're like, "Oh, your skin's so fair, it's so nice." I'm like, "That's fucked, actually." And they're like, "Well, no," because they and I knew the background, but they were explaining that fair skin in China meant that you're wealthy because you weren't working out in the fields and all that sort of stuff. So it was actually a sign of wealth. But, you're right. I mean, I've been to places where if you're taken out of your comfort zone, things are very different. Like I remember being in South Africa and being in places like, I think it was Rustenburg, where I was the only white guy in a sea of people. And that might sound kind of strange, but it was for me. You know, like it was a strange experience for me because like I was like all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, the odd one out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can understand being put out of your comfort zone is a good thing, but sometimes I'm like I don't know if I want to see it. That's just me.
I get it.
As you get older, it's like I can't be fucked. You know?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And I've had experiences in countries where other people have loved that country, but I'm like, and I'll ask you this in a minute, I'm like, I fucking hated that place, you know what I mean? Like Portugal. I fucking hated Portugal. But everyone will love Portugal.
Our grandfather loves
Yeah,
Portugal.
he loved Portugal. He loved the Algarve and the Madeira region. And, you know, I went to Lisbon and Porto, which aren't exactly great cities, in my humblest of opinion. And the reason for that is, and this is a no bullshit story, this isn't the Ram, I do have one. But the story with this is the fact that I got to, I think it was Lisbon. We got there, and I said, because I was traveling with Pedro, this is when we were backpacking, and I said to Pedro, no bullshit, I think we're being stalked. I think someone's watching us.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, you're fucking full of shit. And I go, no, mate, I'm serious. And he said, all right, well, who do you think it is? I go, well, that guy there, he's followed us since the train station. Because we did the Ural thing.
Yeah.
And every city we went to, we did it by train. And we got off at Lisbon, which is a big city. And this guy I had followed us from the train station all the way through the city. And like every city we went to, we were trying to find hostels.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make our mind up of what hostel to find and all that sort of stuff. But we finally found one. And I said to Pedro, mate, I'm telling you, this guy has followed us all around. And it was getting late. And he said, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go to the first place we can find. And we found this hostel, put our bags down and all that shit. And then we thought we'd go out and have a look at the city. Get out of the hostel. And I looked over my shoulder and I've gone, mate, this guy's still fucking here. And Pedro looked over and he goes, you know what? I actually think you might be right.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going into a McDonald's. And this was a massive McDonald's, man. It was huge. It had like double story. It was like the one in the city, you know, like a big double story one. And he says, you know what? Let's get something to eat and let's go upstairs and see what happens. And we did that. We went upstairs, sat down, and no bullshit. We looked over the balcony and the guy that I said was following us went in there looking for us. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And the rumor was that was going around at the time that people were preying on backpackers, like local gangs, because they knew that backpackers had valuables on them in some regard. You know what I mean? Whether it was a credit card or a traveller check, whatever it was, a camera, whatever it was. And so we...
Well, sorry, dudes.
Yeah, the table's fucked.
This is a fucking debacle of a podcast. We've got fucking audio problems with technical issues.
Table problem, got a fucking guy outside with a chainsaw.
Guy outside with a chainsaw. Yeah, but
So I hope it's not that guy from fucking
no,
Portugal.
Yeah. So from that day on, from that moment on, I'll continue this story about how certain situations can fuck your impression of a country for life. Immediately, I had the shits. But anyway, the next day we woke up, we had certain things we wanted to see, and I'm not joking you. When we walked down the street, just from the hostel, and we saw a guy that I can only describe as the Elephant Man.
Yeah, right.
I'm not fucking kidding. He looked like the Elephant Man, and he had a little tin, and people were giving him money, and I almost threw up. And I said to Pedro, is that what I think it is? He goes, yeah, it is, man. And immediately, so my first 24 hours in Portugal was being stalked by a guy, a random person that was obviously trying to track us down and find out what we were up to do some kind of bullshit to us. I saw an Elephant Man, and then the rest of the city, at that particular point in time, they were ripping it all up and renovating it. So the place was a shithole.
So it's like Sydney now.
Like Sydney, yeah. So this is why I always say, right now, people will hate me, but I say it now. If I was travelling halfway around the world to Sydney, I'd be pissed. Because what the fuck do you do in Sydney? The fucking George Street's ripped up. You can't do anything when you get here. It's bullshit. It's fucking expensive. You can't afford anything. It's bullshit. And I always used to, I don't know about you, Nuka, Neel, but I always used to judge a city in the world by the Big Mac system. I used to say, you know what? The first thing Pedro and I used to do when we were backpacking, let's go into McDonald's and see how much a Big Mac costs us here by converting it back to Australian dollars.
Yeah.
And if it was fucking like $12-15, which it was at that time, you go, fuck this place.
Yeah.
Fuck this place. And I can remember going into like Switzerland. I told you about that upstairs when you got here. We went to Interlaken. No bullshit, we fucking starved at that place because we worked it out that the Swiss franc versus the Australian dollar the dollar was worth fuck all. Yeah. And we sat down and we wanted to eat a pizza, and that pizza was going to cost us $60. No bullshit. And because we were on a drinking binge at that point, all we wanted to do was drink. But you know what? The Americans felt sorry for us because the place was full of Americans because they were rich because their dollar was worth fucking heaps. So we met this guy. His name was Carlton. No bullshit. I'm not making this up. So Pedro says, you know what? I'll challenge you to a game of ping pong and you buy our drinks. And Carlton goes, all right, fucking Australian. So he starts playing ping pong, and every time Pedro beat him, Carlton would go, gosh darn it. Like this. And he's like, damn it.
He was from Utah.
Yeah,
Gosh darn
that.
it. Gosh darn it. You know, and so we got drinks out of them, but they loved us because we had stories to tell them and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But that was a great time, but it was a very expensive place. So I used to, whenever I went to a city, no bullshit, I'd look at the Big Mac system, which is a thing actually. If you read I've
heard about that.
The Lonely, what's it called? The Lonely Planet Guide.
Lonely Planet Guide.
They've got a thing called the Big Mac system in that. And the other thing I used to judge was fucking toilets. And if the toilets were in a country with shit, I fucking hated that place.
Yeah.
That place, because toilets mean everything to me. You know
It's
what?
like a sanctuary.
It is. And if you're not feeling...
Doesn't matter what you've eaten the day
Yep.
before.
That's right. If you don't feel well and you've got to deal with a bullshit toilet, this place sucks.
Yeah, that was my thing with China.
Yeah. China fucking killed me. I love China, but it killed me.
I'm going to raise something to you, though,
Yep.
about that experience that you had in Portugal.
Yep.
I agree with what you were saying. But in a way, though, if you didn't have that experience over there, you know, getting potentially stalked and, you know, just experiencing all of that, you know, in a way, you've learned lessons that a lot of people that never went anywhere
Yep.
wouldn't have learned,
Yep.
right? Like, I had a similar thing. I got I
totally
got robbed.
agree.
I got robbed in Madrid when I was there. We were playing. I think we were playing like King's Cup or something. They go nuts in Spain. By the way, they just
I love
they
Spain.
party
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I love
like,
Spain.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you what else, I love the fucking women there. They're fucking
very good.
hot.
Yeah. So we
Jesus
were
Christ.
playing King's Cup, and I think I got the last one, and I had to go pick up the beers from the supermarket up the road, and you know, go out, and I come back, and there's like the entrance to the hostel was in this dirty alleyway, and I remember just all of a sudden
actually,
these guys
they all are. Most of them are.
Yeah.
They're all in these alleyways.
It's fucking dodgy.
Just to stop you there for 1 second, just hold that one point before I forget, because I've got a really bad memory. We went to Madrid too, and I loved Madrid. I actually in the back of my mind thought Spain, which was one of the last countries we were doing in Europe as a backpacking thing. I thought Spain would be a really bad country for us because we were going to get tired and shitty and all that kind of stuff. But it was the opposite. We fucking loved it. But you know what? All the hostels were not good for us. Every time we went and looked for a hostel, and we found a hostel, no bullshit, had no windows in it. And we fucking slept an entire day because we were tired and we thought it was nighttime. We woke up and were like, oh, fuck, it's still dark. Let's go back to bed. And then the fucking lady that was running the hostel knocked on the door. She goes, I got to clean the room. We're like, well, it's fucking nighttime. She goes, no, it's not. It's fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you fucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, fuck this room, you know? Like, but Italy was the same. Hostels in Italy were shit too, you know? Sorry,
Oh, what was I saying?
I'd say I fucked you now.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, hostels. What was it?
You got robbed.
You got robbed.
Oh yeah,
got robbed.
that's
So
right.
he's
yeah,
good- he's a
that's
good
right.
timekeeper.
Great. So yeah, like I came back in this bag of beers. These kind of dudes, pretty shady looking dudes, kind of surrounded me, and I was pretty drunk at the time. But my first thought was like, fuck, like one of these guys is gonna stab me or whatever. And I remember I had my camera in my pocket and I could feel them kind of like roughing me up. They were just surrounded me, and they took my beers and they took my camera and stuff, and it all happened fast. I just got the fuck out of there. And then like it was a pretty shitty day. Like I lost, this is before iPhones and stuff, so I lost all of my photos of that whole backpacking trip, and it was just really, really shit. But it just experiencing things like that really taught me a lot.
I agree.
About even about myself and how I dealt with that situation.
You know what? I remember, you're bringing back a lot of memories in Nuka, Neel. I can remember when I first was backpacking, I backpacked with Pedro and this other guy called him Manchild, right? He was another mate of mine that I used to work with. And Manchild would say, because he'd backpacked before, he was like the experienced traveller. You know what he said to us as we first started out? He turned to us, I'll never forget it, this was in Prague. And he said, you know what? You're going to have some really bad days on tour. Really bad days. You want to go home, right? But just remember this, it beats working. You could be fucking working. No bullshit.
For sure.
And he was right, because halfway through the tour, something would happen. Like when we got to Austria, poor old Pedro lost his fucking credit card, and to this day we don't know what happened. He didn't get. He thinks he got robbed, maybe, but I think he might have left his card on the fucking counter at the hostel or something. You know what I mean? Because they used to do dodgy shit back then. I don't know if they do it now, but I went backpacking in 2001. And you know what they used to do? They used to say, "Hand your passport in." Oh, fuck, who are you? You could be anyone, you know what I mean? And where are you going to lock it up? Oh, we've got this fucking safe behind the counter. Oh, fuck, that's
There's
fucking
still
secure.
places where they do that.
You know, and they fucking... But that was stock standard in Europe.
Japan, it's pretty normal too.
Stock standard in Europe, you'd rock up and they say, give us your passport.
China, they do it too.
And you're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to put my passport with you. Why do I need to do that? But that was security, so you didn't fuck off and not pay him. And all that bullshit, you know?
Right.
But... He must have left his credit card somewhere, or maybe it did get stolen. I don't know. But my experience of Austria was fucking unreal. I love Vienna. But he fucking couldn't wait to get out of there. He hated it because it bugged him that he got his card stolen. Because he took pride that he was going to not get into that bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he had a bad day on tour. And when it happened to him, I said, remember what Manchild said? He said, we're going to have bad days and good days and it beats working. He goes, well, I fucking don't need this bullshit either. He got the shits, you know? But that's true, isn't it? Whenever you go, you're going to, if you backpack or do any of that.
For sure. I'll tell you one of the best things that happened. Funny you mentioned Austria. Here's a funny story that, so you should definitely strap in for this one. But, one of my favorite experiences that I ever had was I went to Oktoberfest.
I did that too.
A couple of years ago.
I'll fucking tell you the story on that. Go for it. You go first.
And the funny story is me and my brother were meeting up there. I think I might have already been in Europe for a little bit and he was coming in later. My flight into Munich came in the morning. His came in the afternoon. And I knew some people from Australia that were already there, some friends of mine from uni. So I rock up at this hostel. It's fucking packed, obviously, because it's Oktoberfest. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go meet up my friends, and then I'll meet up with my brother later. So I get to the festival. It's fucking crazy. Like, you know, there's beer tents everywhere. Everyone is just fucking nuts. Yeah. I meet up with my friends, and I honestly don't know what happened because I think I had about 3 or maybe 4 or 5 steins, and fucking blackout.
That's a lot anyway.
Now, the best thing, the hostel, I think they learn from experience here, but they actually give everyone wristbands that have the address of the hostel.
Oh, fuck, that's a
and
good
also
idea.
Directions on how to get there that you just show a cab driver or something if you're fucked. Because obviously people just don't know what the hell they're doing. Anyway, the next thing I remember being there like at midday, meeting my friends. I passed out. I don't know what the hell happens. I wake up the next day, right? Luckily I'm in my hostel. I was like, okay, fuck, like, I'm here. I'm just trying to piece together what happened. And then I look over, I see my brother in the bed over there. So I thought, okay, he's here. I don't even remember meeting him, but he's here. That's good. I was like, fuck, where's my wallet? I was like, my wallet and like my phone were gone. And I was like, oh, it's like first day of the holiday. Yeah. I've already lost all my shit.
Yeah.
So and then I was like, fuck, I didn't even see my brother. Like, I got so drunk that I passed out here. So I go to him, I wake him up, and I was like, hey, good to see you. By the way, I've already fucked up our trip because, like, I've lost all my shit. And he's like, oh, no, it's all good. This American guy that's sleeping above me found it, like, in the toilet. Like, not in the toilet, but, like, on the floor in the bathroom. I was like, oh, my God, fuck. So big, and I mentioned on the last, or just earlier as well, that I went to Germany and I had had lived with the host family. So someone kind of lived pretty close by, and I'd made plans to meet up with her that day. So I said to my brother, "Cool, hang tight. I'll be back in a couple of hours." I didn't even meet that guy that found my wallet. He was passed out. So I go and meet my friend. We kind of went around the city a little bit. I come back at about 4 p.m. My brother's now passed out. He got too fucking drunk.
Oh, mate. Oktoberfest is unbelievable.
And I meet this, and then I was like, oh, fuck, I've already been here 2 days. I haven't even seen my brother. The American guy rocks up. He's this young guy, shout out to Ryan Rezelback, young guy from New York, 21, like Jewish, rocks up, fucked up. Yep. And I was like, hey, you the guy that found my wallet and my shit? And he's like, yeah. I was like, dude, you're a fucking legend. And I was like, let's go out. I'm going to buy you a beer right now. Like, you just saved my ass. So we went out. We had a good chat, a good hang. And then on the third day, this is where it gets a little bit crazy. On the third day, we're like, fuck, we've never even hung out, me and my brother, yet this whole time. So let's go do something that's not just getting fucked up. So what do? We go to the concentration camp there.
I did that.
Yeah, not a great place to be. Dachau, yeah. Not a great place to be when you're fucking hungover.
Mate, I got tingles now. Yeah. There's no bullshit. Because I went to Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And we went there 3 days in a row. And by the end of it, I go, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this joint. Because you know what I was doing? I shouldn't say this, but I was doing it. We'll drink Steins. And you know how they do Pross and they smash I smashed my fucking Stein glass and it was cracked and it had bits of fucking glass in it. But I was still drinking it. And these girls would come, these German girls came up to me because they knew I was Australian. And they're like, you know, your glass is broke. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And you know what they were doing? They were snorting snuff. You ever had snuff?
No.
It was big in Germany at the time. They were snorting it. And they said, do you want to have snuff? And I tried to impress them, so I did. But you know what? I got a fucking nosebleed. So my fucking nose was bleeding and I had
the
blood.
nerd comes out.
Yeah, the nerd came out and I had blood all over my shirt. I was a fucking mess. And I told the story before where Phil was on here that I fucking tried to have a shower because I couldn't get a hostel. I stayed in a racetrack.
Yeah.
An abandoned racetrack. It was full of mud. It was fucking September.
German.
It was pissing down every fucking day. And so we stayed in this fucking abandoned racetrack that they had made it as a tent city. And so the tent had mud in it. We slept in mud. We fucking walked in mud. We ate in mud. We fucking did everything in mud. And I'd had enough. And I wanted to have a shower. And guess what? The fucking shower was covered in mud. I got more mud on me having a shower than I did get before that bullshit. And you know what? One day I said to Pedro and another friend of mine who was there at the time, I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done with the fucking the tent city, and I'm done with fucking the Oktoberfest. He goes, yeah, you're right. Let's go to fucking Dachau. So we go to Dachau, and there's pictures. I should have bought my photo album today. There were pictures of me and Pedro fucking miserable because Dachau is the most miserable place on the planet.
But it's an experience you need to have.
But yes, you're right, and that goes back to experiences.
Definitely.
And you're right.
Yeah.
And you asked me about Portugal. Yes, you're right. At the time, I was miserable, but you're right. Now I've got the stories to tell, and I've got the experience.
Yeah, you got experience, and it gives you perspective, right?
That's right.
But just to go back to that story when I was there, it was grim, right? But, I mean, I'd been to one before,
and the weather was fucking shit as well.
It always is.
It always shit in Germany.
Yep. So we go there, and I didn't know this though, but that Jewish guy who found my stuff, Ryan, he came with us, and his grandparents actually died there, and he saw their names in the book, and you know, he obviously was very emotional. We were emotional being with him. And it was just like this crazy, I remember it as well. It was a crazy day. Anyway, the next day, me and my brother, we were going to Berlin. We were flying there. It's about an hour and a bit flight. So this guy, Ryan, he was this legend. He was actually a stand-up comedian. First ever trip out of the States. He would, by the way, I didn't tell you that he'd only paid for one night in the hostel. It was full. And he ended up just sleeping there the whole time. He found all these weird nooks and crannies and shit to sleep in. This guy's crazy, right? He's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, so we told him, hey, real cool meeting you. You're a fucking legend. We're going to Berlin. He's like, oh, where are you guys staying? We're like, oh, we're staying at this hostel that I'd stayed at before. And it was like, we shook hands. We're like, man, it's been a great couple of days. All the best to you. Meanwhile, me and my brother go to Berlin. We hang out there. Obviously, I'd been there before. I was showing him around. Got fucked up on absinthe, I remember.
Well, that almost happened to me there too. But what happened was, Pedro knew that I'd die if I drank it.
Yeah.
Right? He took it, and to this day, he says to me, I took a bullet for you, and I didn't know what he was talking about. Because what happened was, at the Oktoberfest, I made friends with all these Americans. And there was an American guy, he called himself Bull. Right? He was a fucking beast, this bloke. And I ended up partying with these other guys, these Americans. They had a camp, right? Their own camp. And I ended up going out and hanging out with these Americans, right? And they had a bonfire. And so the next day at the Oktoberfest, we caught up with them again, and they wanted to drink absinthe. And so I said, yeah, all right, I'll do it, being a tough guy. And Pedro somehow, the sixth sense kicked in, and he went, no, fucking, you're dead, mate. I'm telling you, drink that, you're fucked. And so he drank it.
Yeah.
And he walked up to me, and Pedro used to be able to drink. In fact, I'll tell you a little fucking story about Pedro. He used to drink so much that there was a guy that I used to work with many, many years ago in the 90s who was definitely 100% an alcoholic. He used to call Pedro the fucking tank. And many years later, he'd say, send the tank my regards, when I used to work with this bloke, you know what I mean? He was unbelievable. And so what happened was, Pedro walked up to me absolutely fucked. He was looking at you but not looking at you. The eyes were crossed, and he walked into walls, and he came up to me and said, I took a bullet for you, and he fucking passed out.
Yeah, wow.
But absence is brutal.
It's
yeah,
very brutal. Yeah,
yeah.
Just to quickly finish that story. Sorry.
Sorry, man. I do that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But just talking about anyway. Fucked up on absinthe. It was cool. We were at the hostel. This was at night now, and literally at like midnight, that Ryan guy walks through the doors of the hostel, and we were like, "What the fuck are you doing? How are you here?
Yeah.
How did you get here? Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys seem real cool. Like, we had a real cool like weekend and a good day that day at Dachau and stuff." So he's like, "I just on a whim just rented a car and drove up here." Just thinking that you could be staying at this hostel. If you weren't, I was just gonna hang out here for a few days. If you were, like, that was cool. We were like, holy shit. Yeah. Firstly, I don't want to stereotype here, but he was Jewish, young kid from New York.
I've got a fucking story. I've got a story about that. Keep going. Yeah. A massive story.
It was just, I was like, wow. I was so impressed that this is his first ever travel trip, and he was just living on a whim. Anyway, so I was like, this guy's a fucking guy. We had the best. I'm gonna come back to this part of the story in a sec. But we went to this crazy nightclubs in Berlin. I don't know if you've ever been.
Yeah, I have. But I went to one that was cool. I went to one that was in a fucking cave.
Yeah, I think I might have been to that one.
Jesus
actually.
fucking.
Did you get lowered in by like?
Yes.
Yeah. I was there.
Oh no.
I've been there, and you crawl through like fucking weird. Yes,
that's it.
I've been there, dude.
Fucking high five, dude.
I've been trying to tell. I've been saying this story to so many people, and no one can believe me.
I'm telling you now, it was the weirdest fucking joint I've ever been to.
It's fucking nuts.
It's fucked up.
So just real quickly, I'll tell you about that later. But so anyway, I realized this guy Ryan is a fucking guy, right? What we ended up doing was he was like, "What are you doing now for the rest of your trip?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm not doing anything." My brother had to go back to Australia. So we rented a car. Well, that car that he rented, we drove down to Dresden. We ended up staying there for like a couple of days. Then we went to the train station. We were literally like, all right, we're going to flip a coin. If it goes on heads, we're going to go to Bratislava. If it goes on tails, let's go to Vienna. And we ended up spending like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Tossing coins, just going to the train station, seeing whichever one left at the next train, like wherever fucking country it goes to.
A lot of people did that because when I was backpacking, people would just randomly tell me that. They go, "Oh, we don't know where we're going next week, but we've got enough time to..." Whereas I actually, unfortunately, we planned it a little bit so that I knew... Because I had relatives in Sicily and I told them that we will be there at this time and this date. So the whole time we did some random things. Yeah. But we knew we had to get to this point in time in Sicily. We had to do that because I told the relatives this, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the fucking story you're telling me about the Jewish guy from... I've got a fucking cracker.
Man, and that's the thing I love, I think, the most about traveling is that
random.
The people that you meet like that, you meet all these fucking interesting, crazy people like that. And he's honestly one of my best mates now. I've been now to New York. I've stayed with him. I've met his family.
You know what you do? You send him this bullshit podcast. Maybe we get a few more subscribers.
Hell yeah.
In America, our American friends. I fucking love America, man. And I'm not just saying that.
Same.
I fucking love it. About 3 years ago, we got a car and we drove from Dallas all the way to Miami. It was the fucking shit. I'm telling you, it was awesome. I loved every minute of it. And I was saying to Jason Relaxation the other day, I deliberately wanted to go out of my way to some fucking small town in Alabama, which is what we did. And I ran into a bloke. His name was Biscuit, and he worked at a Best Buy. Right? His name was Brandon, but he called himself Biscuit.
Of course.
Right. But let me tell you about the Jewish guys from New York. Right. But actually, they're from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Right. Fucking, you're spinning me out with that story because these guys were very young. They were younger by us by quite a way, right? Back then in 2001, I was 26. These kids were like 17, 18, right? So they're old now too. They're fucked, right? But this was their first trip out of America, right? They'd never really been out of Philadelphia. They thought Atlantic City, which in my book wasn't far from Philly, was another country.
Wow.
It is in the South.
Well, no. I actually went.
We got both kinds of music out here,
country and western.
They actually put me up in Philadelphia a couple of months later, right? But this is when we first met them. Where we met them was on a Kentucky tour, because Pedro and I had decided that the way to start our big trip was to maybe do a tour, because that way we get used to the because back then it was different currency for each country. It wasn't the euro like it is now.
Yeah,
it was lira.
Chlamydia, right?
It was pesos.
Chlamydia.
Yeah.
Chlamydia was the currency.
Yeah,
chlamydia.
Kentucky, definitely.
Yeah, well, let me fucking tell you the fucking story, and this is where I'm leading to. And you know what you can do? You can fucking roll it, monkeys.
Okay, they've rolled.
They've rolled?
Yeah.
Because this is a ram. This is a ram, and we go back to 2001, right? This is the story with these two young guys from fucking Philadelphia in 2001 that were Jewish, so Jewish they remind me of the fucking nanny, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, and I'll get to this in a minute. So anyway, they'd never really spoken to Australians in the flesh before, and they were pissing themselves at what we used to say. They used to laugh at our accent, and they used to make fun of us, right? But in a nice way. They used to say, "Look at him, he's scavenging. How dare you?" And then one day,
Terrence and Philip.
yeah, it was like that. It was like that. And one day Pedro goes, "How fucking dare they take the piss out of us, the little pricks?" And I'm like, yeah. But they loved us because one day I said something to Pedro like, "Oh, you're fucked, mate." And they picked up on it. So they'd walk around going, "You're fucked." But they couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have the accent. But they kept doing it. And I said to them, "Don't fucking tease us. You'll fucking pay. You'll pay a pretty penny. I'm telling you now." "Oh, you're fucked," they'd say. "All right, I'll fucking get you back, you little prick." So anyway, there was a deal on Kentucky. All bets are off. You didn't touch the girls until you got to Rome, because by Rome, that was the end of the tour. But if you touched the girl before Rome and you didn't like it and it didn't work out, you were stuck with it for the whole tour.
Yeah.
So you didn't fucking touch her. But at Rome, all bets are off. Well, let me tell you a little fucking story about my good friends in Philadelphia. They know who they fucking are. They don't listen to it. And I'm going to mention their names. They were named Eli and Elliot.
Of course they were.
Well, let me tell you about Elliot. Elliot was the funniest of all, because Elliot thought the way to pick up a girl in Europe was to play Connect Four with her.
Oh,
remember
wow.
remember the game Connect
Of
Four?
course,
He
yeah.
packed in his bag Connect Four,
Fuck.
and he went around to the train stations in fucking Paris and all over France and all the rest of Europe, and he'd go, "Hey, do you want to play Connect Four?" I can't even do his accent.
Yeah.
And the girls were like, "What?" And he'd pull out the fucking Connect Four and say, "Play," and they'd play with him. And like, fucking this prick's fucking doing better than all of us,
Yeah.
because we made fun of him. And then when he heard us go, "You're fucked," he go, "You're fucked," or "You're right, you little prick."
Yeah.
So guess what? We get to fucking Rome, and he gets it on with a chick, and she wasn't bad either. Let me tell you, Neel. But you know what we fucking did? He decided to stick his hand down her pants next to Pedro and I's cabin, and I fucking was onto it. So I said to Pedro, "Who's out there? Who's out there? I can hear something." And Pedro goes, "I don't know." And he looks out the window and goes, "Fuck, it's Elliot." And I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's with that fucking chick, and she wasn't bad." I'm like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah." So I thought, all right, I'm going to get this prick back. So I stuck my head out the window and go, "You're fucked!" And you know what? They got caught and they ran. Right?
Shit.
And so the next day, the next couple of minutes, we get a knock on the door, and it's Elliot. And he goes, "You," and he's really thick fucking, he's, that Philadelphian accent.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You owe me. You fucking cost me dearly. I was going to fuck her." And I'm like, "Well, you didn't, did you? Because you're fucked." He goes, "You owe me, man." He goes, "I thought we were friends." I go, "We are friends. I fucked you. That's how it works, right? That's what us Australians do. You want to walk around quoting us in our bullshit, crappy accent, which is shit. I'll give you it's shit. But you're fucking making fun of it, like saying, 'You're scavenging. How dare you?' Like fucking Terrence and Philip, you fuck." And we got him. We got him a beauty, and I said, "Well, while you're at it, wash your hands. I can fucking smell the fish from here, you fuck." Right? But the best bit was they were great guys, and they actually said to us at the end of the tour, "Listen, if you do come to America," which we were telling them that was our plan, and we were saying we were going to go to New York City.
Yeah.
They said, "Look, come to Philadelphia, we'll put you up." And Philadelphia isn't really by train that far. It's a couple of hours by train.
I've been there.
And we'll put you up. And we thought they were full of shit. But when we got to New York, at the time, this is before texting, They gave us their email addresses, and we emailed them, and we thought they wouldn't answer. But they always answered us, man. They were awesome blokes, and they answered us every time. And they go, "Are you guys here yet? Oh, you're here. Okay, cool. This is our address. Come and stay with us." And no bullshit, they put us up. And this is the best bit. This is the nanny fine moment.
Yeah.
They're showing us gridiron football, right? And I like the American football, and of course they go for the Eagles, right? For Philadelphia. Anyway, they said, "Oh, we're having a barbecue today." Oh, okay, so cool. We're meeting real Americans now. You know, like the family's coming over, right? Yeah. And so we're out the back having a barbecue, and their grandmother, I'm not kidding you, spoke like Nanny Fine from The Nanny. Because every time I said something, she goes, "Oh, isn't he cute? Oh!" Like this. I can't even do the accent. I was like,
I know what you're talking about.
You know, like, "Past, you want some coffee, darling? You want some cream?" And I go, "No, I want some milk." "Oh, what you say, milk? Milk." No, they were awesome.
You know, it's funny. Before I went to
That's
America,
your ram I'm spent.
Sorry?
I just said to everyone, "That's your ram I'm spent."
Yeah.
You fucks.
It's funny because before I went to the States, I just assumed everyone, especially from New York, was a fucking giant jerk. And then I went there and I was like,
cool as fuck, man.
They are the friendliest, like, okay, you know what I appreciate? I think what people misconstrue as rude is direct. And that's what Australians are like. Man, Australians are pretty direct. So they were just like a friendlier version of us. What's even more fucked up is, I don't know if you've been to Canada, but Toronto.
No, I haven't. I really wanted.
Like,
I really
they're almost
wanted.
too polite. I was like, I can't handle this. This is too much.
The English are too, though. Like, when I went to London, they're pretty, they always go, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're on the tube.
They're
when
really
you're on the tube.
Yeah, they're passive aggressive. It's funny because, like, I remember, like, I don't know what it is, but people just are really weird with confrontation and shit over there.
Yeah, they
so
don't
like
it.
I would get the sorries all the time, but the funny thing was, like, I would be the one that was the jerk, right? Like, I would hit someone as they're walking, and then they would apologize to me.
You know what?
I was like, what are you sorry for? Like,
because we don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit it, but Australians are rude fucks. We really are. We really are, right? Because I can't believe when I went to America and I went to massive cities like New York, people couldn't help us enough. When I was in New York, Pedro and I decided, let's go to Central Park and check it out. And one end of, this is really rough as guts, but one end of Central Park's Manhattan and the other end's Queens, right? Yeah. And so Pedro and I went, well, fuck it, we've walked all over Europe. Let's fucking walk from one end of Central Park to the other. And Central Park's massive, man. It's almost the size of Sydney.
Yeah, it's like
in terms of Broadway to the Rocks, it's nearly that big. That's how fucking big Central Park is, right? And so Pedro and I walked that distance, and I don't know, it was a hot day, and so we decided we wanted a soft serve. And this was a classic because we'd go into McDonald's and we'd say, "Can we have an ice cream cone?" They go, "An ice cream can." "What do you want?" I go, "A soft serve." And then I said to Pedro, I got fucking smart. I go, "They don't know what an ice cream cone is, do they? Ask them a soft serve." And I go, "Can I have a soft serve?" And what? I go, "It's on the fucking board, mate." And what we'd worked out is they don't say what they want. They don't say, "Can I have?" They go, "Number 11, number 12, number 14, right?
They call out the number,
They call out the number, whereas we can I have, please? And you don't realise you're doing
it's
it.
like the Cheesecake Factory. You don't tell them what you want. You actually tell them the number.
Yeah, you just go numbers.
Yeah, right.
But we're like, can I please have a soft serve? Or can I please have an ice cream?
Yeah,
They're like, what the fuck? And everyone would say, "Are you English?" You go, "No, I'm not from fucking England. I'm from Australia." And they're like, "Jesus Christ, what are you doing here?" But I'll never forget, this is no bullshit, we walked from Manhattan end of Central Park all the way to the Queens end. And we kept walking and walking. We didn't know where the fuck we were, but it all looked the same to us. And anyway, I must have said out loud, "Oh, fuck, we better get a subway to get back to Grand Central to get the train back to Connecticut," because our friend was living in Connecticut, right? In Stamford, Connecticut, which isn't that far, but it's another state. Yeah. That's also another mind fuck.
Yeah.
But anyway, someone heard something, and there was these guys hanging around a fucking like 40-gallon drum or whatever it is, and they're like, "Yo, man, where you from?" And we told them, and they said, "Oh, you don't want to be here, man. This is a bad part of town. You need to go back the way you came." And I'm like, "Really? What the fuck?" And they said, "Yeah, this is Queens, and you're getting into Harlem." And I'm like, "Oh, it looks the same shit to me, dude." And they're like, "No, it's not, dude. You don't want to be here." They go, "When the sun goes down, you don't want to be here, man." And the same thing happened in San Francisco. I might have told this story before on the podcast.
San Francisco's like that, man. You don't go. You go down the hilly ones. You never go cross streets.
I don't know if I've told this story before on the podcast, but I'll tell Nuka Neel this one. But we were in San Francisco, Pedro and I. This is right at the end of our trip.
I love the word cornbread.
Yeah, this is what happened. We went fucking to Pier 41, right?
Which is a nice part. I played in a band at
Yeah,
Pier
but we're
41.
fucking idiots. Because we thought we were living it up at this point because we decided to stay in a hotel as opposed to a hostel, right? Because this was the end of our trip. Fuck it, we'll stay in a hotel,
Splurge,
right?
yeah.
We'll splurge. And so anyway, the lobby, the receptionist in the lobby, she said, listen, she knew where we were from. She says, if you want to get the cable car to Pier 41, it's just across the street, right? And I actually a bus. It was a shuttle bus, sorry. And I said, well, where's the cable car? She goes, oh, it's about a mile up there. And I said, all right, we'll walk it. And she goes, oh, I wouldn't recommend that. And I go, well, it's not that far. Fuck it, we've walked all over Europe. Nothing can beat us. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I wouldn't recommend that. And we know what you're fucking talking about because we knew everything. And so we walked it. But as we walked it, we started to see some dodgy shit, which would later haunt us as we came back. So we walked up. We didn't even fucking get the cable car because you know what? It cost $1. Fuck it. Pedro said, that's a beer. That was his fucking logic, and I agreed with it.
Jeez.
So we walked all the way to Pier 41, and as we walked back...
Jesus, it's a hard walk back.
Oh, mate, we were fit back then, though. We weren't like we are now, fat fucks. We could do it. But we walked all the way to Pier 41, and then we did whatever we did around there, and we walked back.
Shopping.
And as we walked back, we did some shopping because they had, like, leather jackets for fucking cheap, right?
Yeah.
So we loaded up on all these leather jackets. We're walking back thinking we're fucking king shit, and we didn't fucking learn our lesson because we're fucking stupid, but we walked past these dodgy people in the near the BART station, you know, the Bay Area Rapid Transport.
Yeah.
We were hanging around there.
It's a fucking dodgy part of town.
It's a dodgy part of town, but we walked
sure.
there and then we walked past these people hanging around a fucking 40-gallon drum, and we hear this, yo, cornbread. And we're like,
they fucking love that.
and
word.
we're like, what the fuck? And they go, yo, cornbread, what you got? And we're like, I don't know. And Pedro being Pedro, I won't say what he did here, but I'll tell you off air. He says, we're fucked, just give them whatever you want. And I said, okay, no worries. And these guys were big units, man. And they came, and that was like Romper Stomper. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah,
they came from fucking everywhere, mate. Fuck. They came behind the fucking fence. They were in on it. This was a syndicate they had. I'm telling you now. And they came from everywhere, and we were fucked. We were surrounded. Like behind us, the side of us, the front of it, we were fucked. And so they said, yo, man, what you got, little man? Because these were big guys.
Yeah.
And I said, one of us might have said, we've been shopping. We've just got some shopping. And then he goes, yo, man, yo, cornbread, where you from, man? Where you from, little man? You English? We're like, no, man, we're from Australia. He goes, where from? And we go, Sydney. And I'm not making this up. There was a littler guy there. And he goes, Sydney, Australia? Shit, man, I got to get me to that motherfucker. Right? And then he says to us, and I can't do the accent, so I won't bother.
That's pretty good.
He goes, yo, man, yo, little man, you don't want to be around here at night, man, in the hood. He says, because we won't be here necessarily to protect you. But when we're with you, you can roll with us. But when we're not with you, I wouldn't be here, man. Some bad motherfuckers in here, you know?
Yeah, right.
And he was basically telling us, you've walked in the wrong place.
Yeah.
But we're cool with you and you're cool with us.
Yeah.
Don't. And they walked us back to the hotel.
Holy shit.
No bullshit.
Fuck.
They walked. And I'll never forget, when we were in... when I did the the southern states of another trip I did a couple of years ago, and we drove from Dallas to Miami. We ended up in Florida, and randomly I went to a couple of NFL games. I went to a couple of gridiron games, and I went to a Miami Dolphins game in Miami. And I'll never forget, I ran into some Australians here from Sydney here too. And this guy said, I don't know what the fuck we've done, but we could do anything in this country and they'll still forgive us. And I go, I don't know. They fucking love us. I don't know what we've done.
Thanks, Hugh Jackman.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. It might be Hugh Jackman and the Wolverine. I don't know what it is. But the point is, the relationship's solid, and they couldn't do enough for us. You know what I mean? They'd open fucking doors for us in New York. And this is another fucking little side tangent. We were in Sears or Macy's, one of the big department stores. Pedro and I, when we were doing the big tour, and we ended up in America, and we were. After 4 months of backpacking, even Pedro says to this day, I can't believe it, we didn't fight once, but finally the tension built up. If you're traveling with someone, that's the other thing, you're going to piss them off at some point, totally. Right? And this fucking happened, right? And we ended up in Sears or Macy's, I think it was Macy's, and we fucking lost our shit with each other. And I've gone, you're going to have to do some editing. You're a fucking... Fuck you, I'll fucking had it with you and your fucking bullshit, you smelly fuck off, fuck this. And we're fucking yelling at each other in the fucking
Mind you, they're fairly nice upscale.
Well, this is a fairly... We're in Manhattan, dude.
Yeah.
Right? We're not in fucking Queens or Harlem, all those. And to me, Queens and Harlem were fucking fine. I didn't have a problem with it. But Manhattan, you could tell, was better. And we're fucking yelling at each other in a department store. You know what? I thought we were going to get kicked out. No bullshit. Because this really nice, attractive woman who was working there walked across to us. And I'm waiting for her to say, can you guys please leave, or I'm calling security unless you guys stop it. You know what she said? Oh, where are you from? Your accents are beautiful. And I've just called him called Pedro.
Wow.
Right? And she's gone, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from fucking...
She probably thought you were being respectful and calling him a count.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. And you know what? And she says, oh, where are you from? And I told her, and she goes, oh, really? Why are you here? You know, like they couldn't work out why we were here, and they couldn't work out that we'd backpacked for 4 months.
Yeah.
You know, I said, oh, this guy's driven me nuts. I've been with him for 4 months. We've backpacked all over Europe, and this is it. We're here now, and we're going off to LA, and we're going to fly home from LA. And she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And I'll never forget when I went there again. I've been there a couple of times, but when I did the driving tour from Dallas to Miami, and we ended up at this fucking bumfuckery middle of nowhere town in Alabama, this bloke didn't know what the fuck we were doing there. He's like, what are you doing here? This guy in the his name was Biscuit. He's like, what are you doing? And he goes, I've never met an Australian before. He goes, I've never left my town. Yeah, and he goes, I cannot believe you've told me that not only have you left your country, which is on the other side of the planet, you're fucking driven from Dallas, which I've never been to my fucking little country, small town. He goes, oh, and you're going to drive to Miami? What the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, well, why not? It's fun.
It's surprising, actually, just how many Americans I've noticed in general,
reckon 80%
they don't travel or they don't have a passport.
They reckon 80% don't have a passport.
There's quite a few Aussies that don't either.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're guilty too. Where a lot of people don't leave their town. Oh, actually, as time goes on, I reckon less and less people are traveling. I reckon.
I don't think so. I think it's the opposite, actually. Like, I think travel has become a lot more accessible now. Flights are fucking cheap. You know, you can get flights very,
they're
very
cheaper
cheap.
than they used to be, but they're still expensive for a lot of people.
But I think for a lot of people, travel is going to Bali or something like that. You know,
I went to Bali, and I'm going to say it now. Fuck off, Bali.
Yeah,
I hated it.
I'd say
place.
Yeah,
that's another one.
Your stories remind me, actually, like a sketch. I did end up in a sketchy place, and I feel like sketchy places in America are considerably worse than, say, sketchy places in Australia.
Oh, 100%.
And I remember I was in Memphis, actually, and that's not a place you want to be after dark. Like there was some basketball, college, what is it, March Madness, college basketball, something huge deal. It was like a semi-final, and after the game finished, we were staying like probably a mile or two out of the city, and we couldn't, so many fucking people, so we were just like, fuck it, we'll just walk back. Bad decision. Bad decision.
You know what?
I've never, there was, I had shit coming almost out of my ass at that point.
You know what it is with America?
I was ready to there was some people following us and stuff, and I was ready to just start praying.
I love America, but here's what I noticed, that the division between the really nice areas and the shitty areas, there's no middle ground. It's one street's awesome, then you go around the corner and it's fucked.
Classic example, LA, Beverly Hills, mate.
Yes.
You've got, basically you walk down the fucking main drag of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
You get to a point and you go, I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah. LA, by the way, I did not like it.
No, I don't like it either.
Don't like it.
No,
I've never liked LA.
No, I didn't like LA at all. And even Anaheim, because I've been to Anaheim a couple of times now, or LA in itself. And Anaheim's a nicer area because that's Disneyland, isn't it? Yeah. Right? I still didn't like it. There's something about it I just couldn't do. But you know what? You know what? I said to Pedro, I'll never forget this. We were walking the streets of Anaheim or thereabouts in LA, and I remember I turned to Pedro because we didn't have a car, and I turned to him. I said, you know what? LA in the 50s would have been the fucking best place on the planet to live. I'm telling you now, it would have been. Because it would have been the sunshine state, the weather would have been the shit, it would have been fucking awesome, and it wouldn't have had half the shit that it's got now. I'm telling you, it would have been awesome, and it would have been a fucking quarter of the size.
Yeah.
But now it's got too big. It blows your mind how big it is.
Yeah.
It's the population almost of Australia in a fucking city. And you can't cope, your mind can't cope with that shit.
But there's a lot of, unfortunately, I think because the weather is good there, a lot of people like homeless people and stuff live out there because it's a little bit easier to live than say
Well,
in New
San
York
Francisco's
or
the
like
king of the homeless
San
now.
Francisco's, pretty
Do you know
bad,
they've no
but,
bullshit? You know they've got an app on their phones now in San Francisco, the Bay Area. This is no bullshit. An app that shows you where someone's shit in the street. I'm fucking not making that up.
Yeah.
Because the homeless, the amount of people in San Francisco, the homeless number has absolutely skyrocketed. Not only that, the amount of bullshit needles and syringes and shit on the streets that kids are picking up as they go to school is out of fucking control. Because it's a very left-wing conservative, or not even conservative, very left-wing progressive city. And now they're out of control. The amount of homeless in that city.
I don't think that's the issue, though. I think it fucking
is, man.
I think it's actually healthcare there because a lot of people unfortunately suffer from mental illness, right? And they don't have any real support mechanisms to get treatment, to get any kind of support. And that's why, when you have a lot of mental illness, right, and you have no support, you're going to go out on the streets and then you're going to, behave in irrational
But why is it only
behavior.
that city? Because the rest of America isn't as bad as San Francisco.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But I was saying, in San Francisco, because of I think it's like the weather thing. The weather.
It's an easy place to live.
It's an easier place.
Well, in the
to be
winter
like
time,
that.
it is. I mean, I always said, can you imagine being very, very poor or homeless and living in fucking Detroit in the winter?
It'd be fucking horrible.
I mean, if we're talking about, I don't want to get too political or anything here, but if we're talking about liberal places, why is, say, Seattle or Portland not as ridden with homeless people as, say, San Francisco?
I don't know. I don't know enough about American politics.
It's climate, It's a lot.
I think people are drawn to the climate because
Yeah.
if you're homeless, the winter time's bearable.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they have a big problem there that they didn't have when I was there. Right, because I was there in 2001.
They got a big, Neel and I have travelled a fair bit. We've even, and I've spoken about this. We've been to places like Utah and Salt Lake City where traditionally you would think that those problems don't exist. Like the image, the perception is that that's just not there.
Yeah.
But the reality is quite different.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily specific to San Francisco problem. I think it is. There's just a problem in general.
They have a big problem in San Francisco, whether, at the end of the day.
But it is everywhere, though.
It's everywhere.
It's not just San Francisco. It's everywhere.
It is, but I've got a big problem when they say they've got an app on their phone to tell you where people have done a shit. That's a fucking big problem.
But it's also that the app tech capital of someone's gonna make an app for fucking something in San Francisco.
Yeah, that is true. It is Silicon Valley.
They're gonna make apps for anything.
It is, but at the end of the day, something's really wrong. Right? If you're creating an app for someone that's just done a shit in the street.
It was probably started off as a novelty, like a developer had some spare time. Like, I mean, how many pointless apps have you made in your time?
Quite a few.
You might it might have just happened. I don't know. Who knows?
And this isn't someone that made a pointless app to be funny. This is someone that made an app because they wanted to try and help people, particularly tourists, negotiate someone that's just done a shit. They've got a thing now where you report on this app if you've seen that someone do a shit in the street.
It's like Waze.
Yes, it's like Waze. it's Waze for shit. I don't want to get political either, but you've got to agree. Let's agree to disagree that is a problem, right? That's a problem. Now, how it's derived and how it's created, we could argue that and debate that for
I just don't think it's
days.
because of this super left liberal agenda. Like, I don't think that's the cause of it.
You know what the cause is?
What?
They eat too many smashed avocados. The fucks.
Yeah, okay, that's more like
and they can't. And they go fuck, and they do a shit. But look, you're right.
It's all the $2 burritos.
There's $2 burritos
and
all
that. Burritos.
But you're right. We could talk
though.
about that for hours and never come up to a clear agreement or disagreement on it. And I don't really know enough about it either because I'm not educated. I don't live there. I don't know American politics, and neither do you, really, because we're not there.
No, that's
but what
true.
I'm saying is, there's an app that they have that they can download on their phone to tell them someone's doing a shit in the street. That ain't a fucking great city in my opinion. But I love San Francisco, right?
Maybe they put that money towards feeding the homeless. Who knows?
San Francisco reminded me of Sydney a lot, and that worries me. Because when I went to San Francisco, I thought this is a very pretty city on the harbour with a Golden Gate Bridge, and so Sydney. Sydney's a very pretty city as well, and a nice day on the harbour with a harbour bridge. It is.
When
right?
when it's not going to complete clusterfuck.
Well, there you go. Every city's got its problems. But what I'm saying is, when I stood there on the bay and I looked at the Bay Bridge and I looked at the fucking the Golden Gate Bridge, I went, Jesus Christ, that's impressive. You know what I mean? And so Sydney, when you stand on near the Opera House and you look at the harbour bridge, or you're right underneath the pylons, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Very few cities in the world have that. San Francisco's got that, right? But they've got an extreme that I'd hope would never come here, but I'm worried that it fucking might. And if I ever wake up one day and some fuck's created an app to tell me that someone's done a shit on fucking Victoria Road, I'm going to lose my real shit, you know what I mean? But I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm fucking done. I need to take a piss.
Is there anything else we wanted to talk about?
Okay, one quick final question
Yes.
to the both of you. On a
I'm sorry for upsetting with a disagreement.
No, I'm not upset. No,
That's what this was all
I'm
about.
not upset.
It's all about,
No. I think it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's a good
That's
conversation.
a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
But I'm not making that up about the app. That's
No, we know.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I look. I just don't think. I think the difference between San Francisco and Sydney is that there is better.
We've got the healthcare.
Help. There is better support. There is, and that's the main reasons. I personally
let's be real, right? And this really upsets me, right? And you'll agree here. I know you will. People that whinge about Australia haven't fucking travelled. If they go overseas,
agree.
If you go overseas and you spend some time overseas, you'll come back here pretty quick, smart, and say Australia is the best country in the world.
It's
not
100% agree with
perfect.
you, yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not saying it hasn't got problems,
Yes.
and I'm not saying it can't improve itself because it fucking can.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say that it hasn't gone downhill either because it has gone downhill. Because I was around in the 80s and I've seen it. I've seen it go downhill. But what I'm saying is it's the fucking best country in the world. It fucking is, right? If you're going to talk about healthcare, I used to shit on the healthcare. I'm fucking telling you now, it's not shit at all. It's fucking the best healthcare
I agree with
in the
that.
world. It really is.
I agree.
Right?
I can't
and
argue.
you want to talk about all the other bits and pieces that go.
Actually, maybe
to
not as good as say Scandinavia though.
No, but it's pretty fucking
it
good
is
for
good.
for a developed
Yeah,
country,
for sure.
right?
For population.
For a population that we
I
have,
agree with that,
right?
yeah.
And the diversity of the population in terms of where it's situated, right? Because our population's fucking scattered pretty much over an entire continent. It's a clusterfuck. People can't believe that. I remember having people come out to visit me from work, where I used to work, and Americans, and they'd sit down and go, well, show us your map. And we go, well, there's only this bit and that bit, and the rest of it's fucking nobody there.
Yeah.
And whereas in America, you guys have got fucking population
Everywhere.
scattered all over,
Yeah.
right? You can send one item from one place to another. You know what I mean?
They don't get the scale. Remember my Japanese mates that came out that time. They go,
that's fucking
can
hilarious.
can we go to Uluru tomorrow? And
Yeah,
I'm
can
like,
we go to Ayers Rock?
Nah, bro.
Yeah, fucking
No, bro.
ain't gonna happen.
You
mate.
haven't got a fucking clue, man.
Yeah.
Well, can't we just drive there? Yeah,
No, you can't.
You got a
Yeah.
week?
No.
Yeah. No, I agree with that because I moved to London a few years ago on a bit of a whim. It was actually the first time I went to New York, and I remember when I got back, I was super depressed coming back to Australia because I had that mental
Travel bug. You got the.
I got the travel bug, but
Yep.
I was not impressed with living in Australia at that time. And I was like, I obviously had a very romanticized version of, say, New York or London or whatever. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to move there. I sold my car. I bought a one-way ticket to London.
London's an awesome city too.
Great,
I
yeah,
fucking
great
love
city.
love
But to
London.
be fair, I left very, almost a little bit, and I hate to say this, but almost a little bit embarrassed of being Australian. Just, I was a little bit. I was like, I'm not sold on this. Anyway, lived there for 2 years. London was cool. I was originally born there, so I had the passport and stuff. But when I experienced life there and I lived there and I met much more diverse people than I did in Sydney, I came back 2 years later and I was like, I fucking miss Australia. I moved back because I missed it and I loved, and I'm more proud than ever to be Australian.
I'm telling you now. I mean, we're biased because we grew up here and we
Sure.
lived here and I was born here and all that shit.
Yeah.
And my background's not, is European and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you now, every place I've been to, yes, I did like America a lot. I love America. I think the landscape of America, I'm talking the US here, is fucking better than Australia. Australia is fucking boring when it comes to landscape.
Sure.
It's fucking rock, bush, desert, rock, bush, desert, beach, beach, fuck off. Right? Whereas America is amazing, man.
Yeah.
It is from a landscape point of view.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to Canada, but I want to go. But
cool.
but America, the US, is so picturesque. I remember going to Yosemite and driving from San Francisco and driving to Yosemite
Through the mountains and stuff,
through the mountains, and I'm fucking telling you
The
now,
redwoods.
it's the best place on the fucking planet. It fucking is, right?
Yeah.
And even when you get down to the south and you see those weeping willows and the what do you call them? The marshes. What do they call those marshes in
the
swamps in
bayou.
the bayou?
Yeah.
Fuck off! That's bullshit. Amazing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for
It's
sure.
beautiful. You don't get that shit here in Australia. You don't. You don't.
I think you'd be surprised. You actually do.
It's
So
fucking boring.
No, I reckon if you
New
went,
Zealand's got more fucking character than Australia.
I
for
reckon if you went,
landscape,
I reckon if you went to places like Kakadu,
yeah, but
you'd probably fucking blow your mind.
yeah, but that's too fucking.
So
boring.
I wanted to just mention that the irony of moving away from Australia because I didn't like it. The irony was the impact was that I felt more Australian than ever. And now, I've got a pretty diverse background. I was born in the UK. My ancestry is Indian. My parents are born in
never have
Africa.
guessed.
Yeah. My parents are born in Africa. I grew up here in Australia. But now when anyone ever asks me, where are you from? I honestly proudly say I'm from Australia. I'm an Australian. And I'm very proud
That's
of that.
what I mean, and I get very, very upset because I'm patriotic, right? Australian. I get very upset when people piss on it, and I say to them, you know what? You can fucking do a couple of things. Get a fucking ticket and book yourself a trip around the world because you can afford it, you fuck, right? And go around and have a look at the rest of the world. And I'm telling you now, you'll come back pretty quick. I'll give you another fucking little scenario. And I hope it never fucking happens, but here's another little scenario. You get fucking sick and you think the rest of the world's fucking got it better than we do. All right, well, you go to a hospital over in some other country, you fuck. And I guarantee you, you'll come back crying here quickly as you fucking can. And you'll say, oh, Medicare's not so fucking bad. I'll tell you fucking will. And I'll put the Pepsi challenge on any fuck in the world that says I'm fucking wrong. Go to America and get sick. You're fucked. You're fucking gone. You're dead 100 times over. I'm telling you now, you are, right?
Yeah, it's very.
Why do you think the Canadians don't invade the US? Because they got the better healthcare system. There's a fucking joke.
Didn't Super Simon joke that they should build build a wall that's 3 feet high so none of them can jump over?
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. He said build a wall 3 feet high and the Americans can't jump over it, or the Canadians won't want to fucking jump over it.
Yeah.
But it's the truth, though. I'm fucking telling you the truth, and I get very upset when I see people that say bullshit about this country, and I'm telling you, it's not perfect. It isn't. There's some bullshit problems with it. There is, but so's every other country on the fucking planet. And then if you don't believe me, get a fucking air ticket and go and see some shit. If you think it's better over there, well, you book a fucking ticket and you go and have a look at it. And I'll fucking put money on it. I'll put the Pepsi fucking challenge on it that was in the 80s. And I'm telling you now, you'll come back here quick smart and you'll fucking wish this is the best place on the planet, because it fucking is. And I've fucking said a lot today and I've ranted and I'm busting for a piss and I'm fucking done. I'm done. Have we done? Have we purged? Have we said everything we wanted to say?
I'm well purged, mate.
Yeah.
I think you're the most purged of all.
I
of us.
fucking did the biggest shit I've ever done with this bullshit podcast this weekend. And I'm very proud of us because I think we've done a great job with technical issues, with fucking chainsaws, with electrical problems. And now it's very dark and I'm very scared.
So Neil, where can people find you, mate?
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about dates, but what's your Instagram again so people can follow
Because
you?
you don't know when he's going to load up this bullshit.
Yeah, you guys can find my musical adventures on Instagram. The handle is at no Neels, like no homers. So that is NONEELS. Slide into my DMs.
Slide into my DMs.
I don't understand any of that bullshit.
Yeah,
'cause
that's a new saying. Yeah, slide into my DMs.
I don't know what that fucking means. Yeah. Listen, I got to go. I got to do a piss and show Nuka Neel, the fucking maid lady. Nuka Neel, thank you for being with us again.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Please
boys.
come back.
I will.
Please
most
come back, man.
Most definitely.
We'll talk about some other stuff. Are we
right.
done?
We're done.
We're done. Jason, Relaxation, thank you for being part of it as always, and thank you for being you. Don't go fucking changing. Thank you, Nuka, Neel, for being who you are. Thank you for the 2 listeners who have been listening for this bullshit podcast. We do appreciate your patronage. Thank you for Mum's Basement for letting us use it again. It's a fucking bullshit basement with a bullshit table, but we really do appreciate it. I've been Retro Dan as always, and you know what you can fucking do, you fucking Shanghai monkeys that are fucking trying to rob me with your fucking visa bullshit scams and your backpacker scams. You know what you can do, monkeys from Shanghai? You can fucking roll it!